The Throne of the Mechas. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 401 Ironhead Kung Fu. Facing the dagger that suddenly flew at him, Ji dodged in a very awkward manner, even sitting on the ground without caring about his image, to avoid the second fatal flying knife. But Wu Go had already rushed over at this time. He raised his arms, and the bone spurs on his elbow smashed down on Ji fiercely. Ji raised his hands, or his front paws, and held Wu Go's arms tightly, then opened his bloody mouth and bit Wu Go's throat. Teeth are important weapons for wild beasts, especially after the beast transformation. Ji's head has completely turned into the shape of a leopard. The pair of fangs are not for decoration. If the opponent is an ordinary human, then he will definitely die, and his throat will be bitten off, and he will die. However, his opponent is the Terami people. The Terami people have hard keratin on their heads, and can use their heads to crush stones. Especially when Yugo participated in the gambling fight. He faced Rayla's undefeated slave bear Exploder Bellamy. The two of them went head to head. Although Bellamy could not beat the Terami people with innate racial talents, the iron head skill he used made Yugo's eyes light up. After the game, Yugo asked Xia Xingchen to help him find relevant books on the iron head skill on the internet, and he actually found it. The iron head skill is a hard skill with external strength, masculine strength, and internal strength. The iron head skill is divided into 3 parts: the top of the head, the forehead, and the back of the head. Although the external strength is used to strengthen the muscles and bones, it is also necessary to use the strength, energy, and spirit in the body to fill the brain chamber and use each other to achieve success. Otherwise, relying on the external strength without the internal strength, although it can succeed, it is also inferior. The most profound iron head skill is that the head is harder than stone, and the stone will break immediately when it touches the stone, and it can also sink deeply when it touches the iron plate. However, to reach this state, one must practice diligently and carefully. Sit and practice when free to calm the mind and eliminate distracting thoughts. Then the mind will be like the natural world, which is what people call cultivating the nature. Only then can one hope to reach the peak of practice. When practicing, tie soft silk around the head and wrap it around several dozen times. Wrap 1 or 2 layers of soft iron sheets around the outside, and then hit the head against the wall. Do this several times a day. When practicing, you must raise your ki to fill the brain. At the beginning, you don't need to hit it hard. The bones are not strong and the brain is easy to be injured. This is why the silk is tied around the head. After practicing for a while, gradually increase the weight, and the number of hits will also increase accordingly. After practicing diligently for a year, the initial stage of practice will be completed. Reduce the silk by 2 or 3 layers, then practice again in the same way. After more than 100 days, reduce the silk by 2 or 3 layers. The more you progress, the fewer layers of silk you will reduce. After a year, until it is completely removed, the second step of practice will be completed. It is quite painful to directly hit the wall with your head at first, but after a long time, you will not feel it anymore, and then your head will be as hard as the brick, and you will have completed the whole exercise. You must practice the iron head kung fu in the right way, and be very careful when practicing, because the human brain is very fragile. Once the blood vessels in the brain rupture or the cerebral cortex is damaged, it is not a big deal to become a fool, but if you are not careful, you will die. After studying this set of kung fu, Wu Jie felt that he had gained a lot. Although the body structure of the human body and the Terami people is very different, Wu Jie still borrowed the training methods and force methods from it, especially the use of ki in the iron head kung fu, which opened a door for Wu Jie. After Wu Jie's long-term exploration, he summed up a set of special understanding and application of ki by the Terami people. Just like this iron head kung fu, after using it, the attack power of his head almost doubled. Catcher. A Wu. After the 2 huge canine teeth of Ji collided with the hard keratin of Wu Jie's head, they broke into 2 pieces, and blood gushed out. Yugo took advantage of the victory, straightened his neck, exerted force with his waist, and smashed his head against Ji's head like a sledgehammer weighing dozens of pounds. Bang, 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 The huge sound of the head collision mixed with the sound of bones breaking was transmitted to the living room of Count Dracula through the microphone outside the spacecraft, which made everyone shudder. No one expected that this usually gentle Teremi man would be so crazy in the battle. G was still screaming and struggling, but soon, it stopped moving. Now there was a corpse in front of Hugo. The leopard-like head was bloody and the skull was broken into pieces, and the brain was bursting out. Hugo wiped the blood on his face, which was all G's blood. He dragged G's body to Yanma, and threw G's body on the ground. He knelt on one knee, and made a very strange gesture with his hands. Yanma looked shy at this time, stepped forward to help Hugo up, and the two hugged each other. A lot of people in the living room were shocked, not knowing what had happened. However, Captain Bielsa was knowledgeable, and explained to everyone, this is a custom on Teremi. The social structure of the Teremi is monogamous. They mature at the age of 15 and can reproduce. At this time, they will look for a partner to accompany them for life. When a male Teremi reaches adulthood, he will hunt a powerful beast, then bring it to the female he likes, and make that courtship gesture. Generally speaking, a female Teremi girl will choose the warrior who killed the most powerful prey as her life partner. This Hugo is treating this leopard-like guy as prey. Too romantic. Xylin and Nina had loving eyes, and looked like a fangirl. More than 10 minutes later, Xia Xingchen and the anaconda in front of him were still confronting each other. If anyone rashly walked between them at this time, they would be torn into pieces by the powerful aura. Through the actions of the anaconda, Xia Xingchen could tell that this anaconda was actually a warrior. He had a high level of martial arts, and his fighting power was much higher than that of Ji and Fu, two beasts who only knew how to rely on instinct. Suddenly, the anaconda opened its mouth and a stream of highly toxic liquid shot out towards Xia Xingchen. This was its venom, a skill unique to snakes. Especially spitting cobras. They are more adept at this. Spitting cobras refer to all types of cobras that can effectively release venom through their fangs in the form of short-range sprays when they are threatened and defend themselves. These venoms are harmless to skin without wounds, but if the eyes come into contact with these venoms and are not properly treated, they may cause temporary blindness. Although the name of spitting cobras refers to their ability to spray venom, they are not actually able to spray venom from a distance. Whenever they want to use venom, they will tighten the muscles near the venom sac. This squeezing force forces the venom out of the venom sac and flows to the tip of the hollow front teeth that are unique to venomous snakes. When the venom leaves the teeth, a stream of air will be released from the snake's lungs, turning the venom into an aerosol and spraying it forward. When these spitting cobras are forced into trouble, they can even spray venom more than 2 meters away. Scientists have discovered the world's largest spitting cobra in Kenya, Africa. The snake is 2.75 meters long and can release enough venom to kill 15 to 20 people each time. This large spitting cobra was initially classified as a black-necked spitting cobra and was later separated into a new species, Arsine spitting cobra. Chapter 402, Broken Gene Chain. After confronting each other for more than 10 minutes, the anaconda sprayed out a mouthful of venom. This is nothing for snakes. Many snakes can even lie still for more than 10 hours to hunt, but it is a burden for other creatures, especially humans. Humans are highly concentrated, but once a long time, the body will be in a state of stiffness. At this time, once the opponent launches a sudden attack, the body will be temporarily out of control and will be caught. But Xia Xingchen is different from others. First of all, his total mental power is hundreds of times higher than that of ordinary people. More importantly, he has the skill of mental clones. This period of confrontation is equivalent to 8 people taking turns to watch the anaconda's every move. His 8 mental clones can take over the body at any time to avoid the state of stiffness. Seeing the venom spraying, his body quickly rushed to the side, and the venom missed and fell on the ground more than 10 meters away. This venom is obviously a special venom that has been mutated. It fell on the alloy ground of the dock. A burst of white smoke flashed, and a large hole was corroded on the ground. Xia Xingchen was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. In order to prevent it from continuing to spray poison, he had no choice but to go up with his sword and cut it down on its head. Now the anaconda was a monster, with 2 arms more than 2 meters long, thicker than the thighs of ordinary humans. Facing Xia Xingchen's sword, it raised its right arm and easily blocked it, then stretched out its very sharp left hand, and its injured sharp claws grabbed Xia Xingchen's head. Xia Xingchen turned and dodged, and swung his sword horizontally, cutting at the waist of the anaconda. But the anaconda did not dodge or evade, but straightened its back. With a click, Xia Xingchen's pupils suddenly shrank. He used the water-breaking sword technique in this sword, and it also cut the anaconda's body firmly, but there was only a faint white mark where the sword hit, and even the scales were not cut. The scales of snakes are very tough, and the scales on the anaconda are more than one layer. The special structure transfers the power of the sword, so Xia Xingchen can't do anything with the first stage of the water-breaking sword technique. Xia Xingchen tried to attack the vital part of its head, but the anaconda waved its arms and defended against the wind and rain. Moreover, its arms were swung with great force, which made Xia Xingchen's hands and arms numb. Xingchen, snakes are afraid of fire. High temperature will make them uncomfortable. You can consider using the burning heaven sword technique. In addition, its scales are layered and can transfer the power of chopping. You can also try stabbing. This is Carlos's reminder. He used the high-speed camera and X-ray in his eyes to scan the scale structure of the anaconda and transmitted the analysis results into Xia Xingchen's mind. "Thank you," Xia Xingchen shouted, and then changed his moves. The Ningfeng sword suddenly lit up like a red-hot iron bar, emitting an orange-red light. There was a huge amount of heat radiating from it. Carlos blocked the network and all surveillance videos. He decided to use the burning heaven sword technique, but this set of sword techniques is unique and can expose his true identity, so Xia Xingchen must be very cautious. The anaconda looked at the sword in the opponent's hand. The high temperature from it almost boiled the blood in its body, which was simply a torment for cold-blooded animals. However, at this time, Xia Xingchen's sword had already chopped it down, and it was too late for it to dodge. The Ningfeng sword brought a huge string of flames and chopped it down. It had to raise its arms to block. The anaconda originally thought that the flame on the burning heaven sword was just an ordinary flame, more than 1,000 degrees at most. He didn't know that the temperature of the burning heaven sword technique could reach 3,000 or 4,000 degrees, which could directly melt even steel. Even Xia Xingchen had a hard time finding a sword that could withstand this temperature. The fire flashed, and the anaconda's arms were neatly cut off from the middle. The scorching high temperature instantly burned the wound into carbon. The huge pain made the anaconda scream, and it lost its mind due to the severe pain. For a moment, the human genes in its body could no longer suppress the snake genes, and began to release power crazily. Soon, the anaconda's body underwent a huge change. Its body suddenly shrank, and the two broken arms also retracted back to the body, and the head also retracted back to the chest cavity, and the body stretched to more than 6 meters. Then a huge snake head stretched out from the chest cavity, turning into a giant snake more than 6 meters long and nearly 1 meter in diameter. It looked like a giant python on Earth. But unlike ordinary giant pythons, it had 2 huge and sharp fangs in its mouth, and pythons were not poisonous. The giant snake roared and twisted, preparing to attack Xia Xingchen. At this time, everyone in the conference room of the spacecraft was dumbfounded. This was simply a monster that could change into various forms in myths. Carlos' various infrared rays, X-rays, and high-speed cameras were frantically scanning the giant snake in front of him, and then his indicator lights flashed wildly, performing high-speed calculations. "Xingchen, I analyzed the body structure of this guy. It has just undergone genetic recombination. The animal genes hidden in its body have turned it into this shape. However, this change violates the law of conservation of matter. In order to maintain this form, it has forcibly torn its gene chain and released a huge amount of energy in a short period of time to maintain this form. Since the gene chain in the giant snake has been torn, it can't maintain this state for long, and the whole body will collapse. According to my calculations, it will not maintain the current state for more than 6 minutes before its body will disintegrate. I suggest you don't go head to head with it. It will automatically die in a while." "Thank you, Carlos, but I want to try my new moves." "Don't worry, it can't hurt me," Xia Xingchen said, holding the flaming sword upside down and rushing towards the giant snake. The giant snake raised its head at this time, and the snake head was more than 2 meters off the ground. It spit out its tongue and made a hissing sound. Its bloody mouth opened slightly and sprayed out a fishy smell. It detected the amazing heat on the opposite side through the receptors on both sides of its nose. The Ningfeng sword looked like a sun to it. The snake's head suddenly popped out like a catapult on an aircraft carrier, biting Xia Xingchen. From the monitor, it looked like the giant snake had almost bitten Xia Xingchen's head in its mouth, and everyone exclaimed. However, a moment later, the giant snake actually bit into nothingness, and it turned out that it had only bitten the residual image. Xia Xingchen exerted force on his feet and dodged to the right side of it. At this time, the Ningfeng sword in his hand was already raised high. Burning Sky Sword. Kill the snake. Chapter 403. Killing the snake. Xia Xingchen slashed at the snake's 3 inches with a sword. A flash of fire passed, and a huge snake head was cut off and fell to the ground. The air was filled with the aroma of barbecue. A section of the snake body without a head twisted in place, which looked very strange. However, the snake head was actually opening and closing its big mouth, and venom splashed out from its fangs. Xia Xingchen knew that it would not survive, because he was aiming at the vital part of the snake. To hit a snake, you have to hit the vital part. As the saying goes, hit the snake at the 7 inches, but some people also say hit the snake at the 3 inches. Although the sayings are not quite the same, there is a similarity here, that you have to hit the snake at the fatal part. Whenever the spine of a snake is seriously injured, the spinal cord protected by the spine will also be seriously injured, and the channel between the nerve center and other parts of the body will be blocked. The closer the injury is to the head, the greater the impact will be. If you hit its tail, it will have no effect on its life. Some people may ask, why not just say hit the spine? Why do we have to say 3 inches or 7 inches? Because if the spine is injured or broken at the 3 inches point, the snake cannot raise its head to bite you, and the 7 inches is where its heart is. Once it is fatally injured, it will surely die. Of course, the 3 inches and 7 inches are not the same for every snake, because snakes vary in type and size. In fact, 7 inches refers to a general area, which is actually the heart area of the snake. If the snake is less than 7 inches, you can hit the snake's abdomen. The neck area behind the snake's head is only 3 inches of the snake. After hitting it, the snake will only faint for a period of time, not really die. Because after hitting the snake 3 inches, the head of the snake will immediately lack blood, so it will temporarily faint for a period of time, but not for a long time, so it is best to hit the snake's abdomen. Xia Xingchen's move was created by himself. Being able to create his own martial arts and create his own more powerful moves is a sign that a warrior's martial arts has reached a certain level. Xia Xingchen and Wu Zhen already have this ability. He got 2 sets of swordsmanship from the core of the Mank people's faith, the Burning Heaven Sword and the Broken Water Sword. Among them, the Burning Heaven Sword uses high temperature and flames to kill the enemy, while the Broken Water Sword uses a law to cut off all obstacles. However, when Xia Xingchen used the Burning Heaven Sword, he found that the high temperature of the Burning Heaven Sword could also instantly burn the objects in front of him, forming a cutting effect, just like a laser knife. So Xia Xingchen had an idea, and he studied it for a long time, combining the Broken Water Sword technique with the Burning Heaven Sword. The power of this sword will be greatly increased. However, he has never had time to practice this move, and as a result, a big snake came to his door. According to Xia Xingchen's current skill, the first level of the water breaking sword technique would not be able to hurt the snake at all, but combined with the high temperature of the Burning Heaven Sword, everything is different. The snake scales were quickly carbonized under the high temperature, and then the condensed sword quickly cut off the body of the giant snake. Xia Xingchen returned the sword to the sheath with satisfaction. Looking at the snake body still twisting on the ground, he stood there quietly and recalled the move just now. At this time, Miyamoto Kenichi's eyes showed a fanatical look, which made Xia Xingchen get goosebumps. The snake body and head on the ground twisted for a while, and then completely stopped moving. After a few minutes, its body turned into a pool of bloody water with a fishy smell. This is what Carlos said just now. The gene chain was broken, and the body collapsed. Master Axing, what is the name of that move just now? It's too powerful. I really want to learn from you. Miyamoto Kenichi's eyes were burning. This move is my own creation. Burning Heaven Sword. Cutting Snake. Don't worry, Miyamoto, there will be a chance. When the time is right, I will naturally teach you. Thank you, Master. Xia Xingchen pointed behind him and said, there's still a bat behind you that you haven't killed yet. You have to be clean and efficient and get rid of the root of the problem. Also, let me tell you, you can't kill a vampire with a sword, even if you chop it into pieces. Miyamoto Kenichi was dumbfounded. Then what should I do, Master? Carlos, you tell him. Wait a minute, I'll check. The ancient texts on Earth talk about many ways to kill vampires. For example, pierce the heart of a vampire with a wooden stake. Here, these stakes have special requirements. In the Russian legends of the Earth era, poplar wood was used, which is the wood used to make crosses in Russia. In other countries with vampire legends, hawthorn wood is used, which is said to be used to imply the crown of thorns worn by Jesus during his crucifixion. It is said that using mahogany and a dagger blessed by a priest can also kill vampires. In Romanian legends, people believe that killing vampires must be done at dawn, and the heart of the vampire must be hit at once to prevent the vampire from waking up from his deep sleep. In addition, in Romanian legends, garlic is something that vampires fear and dislike. There are also many other legends that can be used to deal with vampires, such as wooden hammers, crosses, bread in the Eucharist, sunlight, silverware, and holy water. Vampires cannot see the bright sunlight. They will turn into ashes when they see the sunlight. Vampires cannot suck the blood of the dead, because the blood of the dead will weaken the vampires, or even kill them. In ancient times, some demon hunters in Europe on Earth would use silver iodide bullets to kill vampires. After listening to Carlos' introduction, Miyamoto Ken's face turned green. Where in this vast universe could he find garlic and peach wood? Seeing Miyamoto like this, Xia Xingchen and Carlos laughed. Okay, I'm not kidding you anymore. I'm just teasing you. Carlos was overjoyed at this time, while Miyamoto Kenichi was frowning. However, no one doubted Carlos's identity as a human being. Who has ever seen an artificial intelligence joke like this? It's actually very simple to kill vampires. Just destroy the original blood in their bodies. As mentioned above, although silver ions and allicin in garlic can kill some vampire viruses, they have no effect on the original blood. Moreover, if you want to kill vampires with garlic juice, you have to use about 5 tons of garlic to squeeze it into juice, and then pour it into the vampire's mouth. This is simply a joke. Silver ions can kill vampire viruses and damage original blood, but they must hit the original blood directly. Carlos, how can we kill the original blood? Not kill it, but deal with it. Watch me. As soon as the voice fell, Carlos commanded 4 robots to carry a miniature twin-mounted laser rapid fire cannon. Although it was miniature, it was for a spaceship, and the barrel was nearly 2 meters long. A robot pulled down a long cable from the spaceship and connected it to the laser cannon. The other 2 robots opened the barrel of the laser cannon and adjusted the accessories inside. Then, several robots worked together to aim the barrel at the bat lying on the ground. At this time, the bat had no clothes, and the whole body was smoked black, with wounds all over the body, and it was miserable. However, the vampire's instinct and strong body made it still have a trace of strength. It had to quickly find a place with sufficient dark energy to fall asleep and use the original blood to slowly repair its body. But it had no idea that its every move was under Carlos's surveillance, and it was now being targeted. 2 thick lasers shot at the bat continuously. These 2 lasers were very thick, and they were obviously scattered. The intensity of the laser was also reduced, but now the temperature of the laser was more than 1000 degrees, which was almost the same as ordinary flames. Vampire viruses don't like sunlight. Sunlight will kill some vampire viruses and reduce the activity of the virus to a minimum. So vampires don't like to be in direct sunlight, but this sunlight can only hurt them, but not kill them. And those powerful vampires, such as those above the Earl level, are basically not afraid of sunlight. They will evolve a membrane that can resist sunlight, so that they will not be affected by sunlight at all. However, the laser in front of them seems to be hundreds of thousands of times stronger than sunlight. Bat's body burned instantly when it came into contact with the laser, and the rice-sized original blood hidden in its body also evaporated with the laser, and the vampire disappeared from this world instantly. Then the robot threw G's body onto the pile of minced meat on the ground and cremated it with laser. In Collis' words, this is the best way to destroy the body, and it is also very environmentally friendly. Chapter 404, Taking Care of the Afterlife. Okay, everyone, go back to sleep. I will take care of the aftermath. Carlos said. Everyone went back to their bedrooms to rest. The battle that just happened was enlightening to everyone. Xia Xingchen, Hugo and Carlos sat in the living room to discuss what had just happened. Xia Xingchen had already told Keela that Carlos was his most trusted friend and there were no secrets between them. Carlos, did anyone notice these people coming here? Xia Xingchen asked carefully. Don't worry, no one noticed the three of them, and I found all the surveillance videos from their residence to our dock through the surveillance system playback. These videos have all been modified by me. Now no one can find evidence that they have been here. In addition, our dock is fully enclosed, and all the video recordings have been modified by me. Even the spacecraft maintenance plant can't find any flaws in this. Carlos was very confident. This matter was too simple for advanced artificial intelligence. Moreover, the Gemini 6 ghosts did not send anyone to monitor and follow these three people, because the three of them were too alert. Their beast instincts made it easy for them to find the people who were tracking and monitoring them. These people were discovered and killed by them. Keela frowned. Xingchen, this chosen one organization must be of great importance. Listening to Liugui's description, these three people are just small minions doing odd jobs, but such small minions of such strength, which shows how strong their top leaders must be. Moreover, even such minions, if there are too many of them, will be a big trouble. If there are 100 such guys in the street fighting in the city, 100,000 infantrymen will not be enough for them to kill. And if they are not so rampant, but go out to carry out assassination missions, it will be even more terrifying. Xia Xingchen pondered for a while. I have a bad feeling that after the Northern Empire and the Galactic Empire go to war, this chosen one organization will definitely bring big trouble to the Galactic Empire. Xingchen, why do you say that? These people are crazy. Nicholas is also a crazy, and they are all very ambitious crazy people. They may collude with each other because of their interests. Xingchen, after we kill these people, should we send a message to Liugui to warn them? Carlos asked suddenly. No, absolutely not. The six ghosts don't know that we have found out the relationship between them and the chosen ones. So we just play dumb. Otherwise, this is a handle. If they tell the chosen ones about this, it will be a big trouble for us. After all, we are not in the territory of the Galactic Empire. It is unwise to provoke a powerful enemy in the dark. As for the disappearance of the three chosen ones, I think they will guess that our class killed them, but they will not act rashly, and they have no evidence. Besides, I still expect you to continue to monitor them and grasp their every move. Xia Xingchen replied. Don't worry about this. I have hacked into the personal terminals of all of them, including the body of Shang. I have taken over the authority. Although his mechanical body is very powerful, the firewall is really bad. If I want, I can command Shang and their spaceships to self-destruct at any time. Carlos shook his head while speaking, which was a show-off. Xia Xingchen felt that his advanced artificial intelligence was now more and more like a real human. There was no conversation overnight. When everyone woke up the next morning, they found that everything outside had returned to normal, and those damaged robots had disappeared. A large number of brand new robots resumed the installation of the weapon system of Count Dracula. The wreckage of those robots disappeared. Carlos lost nearly 60 robots in this battle. After everyone went to rest, he asked the remaining robots to collect all the wreckage and put it into the portable artificial intelligence space, and then released more than 70 brand new robots. The wreckage will be broken down into the most basic materials and then reassembled, and finally assembled into a brand new robot. All Collis has to pay is some energy. The next morning, Xia Xingchen was awakened by the personal terminal placed at the head of the bed. It was Nina's personal terminal. Her personal terminal identity account was provided to her by her teacher Safina. Later, Carlos encrypted her personal terminal and set up anti-tracking and anti-eavesdropping. Nina hugged Xia Xingchen like an octopus at this time. Under Xia Xingchen's reminder, she lazily picked up the personal terminal and turned on the voice call mode. Excuse me, is this Miss Christie? We are from Hemingway Express Group. Miss Safina from Siberia Star has entrusted me to bring you a piece of cargo. Now this cargo has arrived at Gemini Space Station. May I ask where your specific address is? We will deliver the cargo to you personally. Nina received a communication request from Hemingway Freight Group early in the morning. A piece of cargo consigned by her teacher, Safina, the S-Class Mecha Knight of the Northern Empire, has now arrived at Gemini Space Station. They need a detailed address for door-to-door delivery. Hemingway Freight is the largest high-end logistics company in the entire Milky Way, and their tentacles extend to every corner of the Milky Way. They mainly provide high-end logistics services, have a large fleet and guards, and undertake various transportation businesses, the most important of which are those precious goods, even including high-end passenger transportation. They undertake the transportation of star coins between several large interstellar banks in the Milky Way. If the Universe Hotel Group is a behemoth, then the scale and wealth of the Hemingway Freight Group is equivalent to 10 Universe Hotel Groups. And every member of the Hemingway family is very mysterious and low-key. The reason why the Hemingway Express Group has been able to achieve this level today is also related to their family's ancestral teachings. No matter where they do business in the Milky Way, they share half of their net profits with local dignitaries and armed forces, and these forces are also happy to escort them. Therefore, half of their profits in the Northern Empire went into Nicholas' pocket, so Nicholas did not confiscate their property and fleet. Although he was jealous of the Hemingway Group's profits and the huge fleet, he knew that, even if he forcibly confiscated the Hemingway Group's property, he did not have the level and energy to run it well. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 405 Safina Knight. Moreover, if they offended the Hemingway Group, it would be more trouble than gain if they went to help the Galactic Empire to deal with the Northern Empire in anger. Please deliver the goods to the number 5 dock of the Old Drunkard spacecraft maintenance plant at Gemini 5 Space Station. Please contact me when it arrives. Okay, ma'am. The goods are expected to be received in 8 hours. What did your teacher mail to you? Xia Xingchen was very curious. I don't know. I can't contact the teacher now. She must have been completely eavesdropped on now. Nina seemed a little frustrated. Xia Xingchen slapped her on the butt. Get up, get dressed and eat, and I'll give you a surprise then. After breakfast, Xia Xingchen asked Carlos to set up a secure call channel, so that there would be no fear of eavesdropping and tracking. Siberia, due to the time difference, it was already late at night on Siberia. Safina, the royal guardian knight of the Northern royal family, finished a day's work, and her personal terminal suddenly rang. She was very surprised to see that the caller ID was Nina. She wanted to see the place of the communicator, but found that all the information, except Nina's name, was blank. She hesitated for a long time, and finally hardened her heart, and connected the communication. Nina, is that you? Teacher, it's me. Nina looked at the familiar figure in front of her, and tears flowed down her face. After learning that her mother had died a long time ago, she felt very lonely. In this world, she only had 2 relatives left, Teacher Safina and Xia Xingchen. Nina, what's the matter? Has anyone bullied you? You should know that my communication may have been monitored. Safina thought that Nina had something wrong, and would contact her regardless of the danger of being discovered. Don't worry, teacher, my boyfriend has solved this problem. This special communication channel is very safe. The technology of the Northern Empire cannot crack and monitor this channel. Safina was relieved when she heard this, but then she frowned again. Boyfriend, Nina, what's going on? Have you really thought about it? You know what this means. Safina's expression was very solemn, because once Nina had a boyfriend, it meant that Nina had made a choice and completely gave up Nicholas. And undoubtedly, this was a heavy slap in the face of the Emperor of the Northern Empire. Nicholas would not let Nina go. Yes, teacher, I've thought about it, Nina said firmly. From now on, Nina Koravin is dead, and there is only Nina K. Christie in this world. Teacher, this time I was on Hellstar and witnessed the atrocities of the Korovin family with my own eyes. Just as you guessed, my mother died a long time ago. She died of pain and torture. From now on, I will be an irreconcilable enemy with Nicholas and the Korovin family. Nina, who is your boyfriend? Is he sincere to you? The most important point is, can he lead you safely away from Nicholas's clutches? You have to know that if you are caught by Nicholas, I can risk my life to keep you safe, but your boyfriend has been cuckolded by Nicholas. Will Nicholas let him go? So let me ask you again, have you ever thought about these questions? Xia Xingchen and Nina looked at each other. The two of them now have a very good understanding. From their eyes, he could see that Nina asked him if he could be like Teacher Safina and reveal his true identity. Xia Xingchen nodded to her. Teacher, my boyfriend is Xia Xingchen, 20 years old this year, a C-class mecha master, and a senior mecha repairman. Xia Xingchen? I seem to have heard of this name somewhere. Teacher, Xia Xingchen is the guardian knight of Xinjiang, the star princess of the Galactic Empire. This time he came to the Northern Empire to perform a special mission. He has the ability to protect me. Safina was a little shocked. She knew Xia Xingchen, and now Xia Xingchen's reputation is already very big. Especially at his age, being able to be a C-class mecha master and a senior mecha repairman at the same time is definitely rare. But think about it, and you can understand it. She knows Nina's character very well, and she really doesn't like ordinary men. Let that stinky boy talk to me. Not long after, a young man appeared on the other side of the screen. This person is not very old, but very calm, with sharp and confident eyes. Hello, Teacher Safina. Are you Xia Xingchen, the guardian knight of Princess Crossing? Yes. As far as I know, you have a special relationship with Princess Crossing, Xinjiang. If you want to become Princess Crossing's partner, what about Nina? For the sake of the face of the Galactic Empire Royal Family, those old stubborn people in the Galactic Empire Royal Elders Council will not allow you to marry Nina. Safina's face was gloomy, and she looked straight at Xia Xingchen through the screen. I will persuade Jaina to accept Nina. As long as I'm here, Nina will not suffer any grievances. As for the Royal Elders Council, I believe that beauty belongs to the strong. In another 10 years, the entire galaxy will know my name. Xia Xingchen exudes a strong sense of self-confidence. The whole person is like a peerless sword unsheathed, and Nina is fascinated by him. Boy, you should know Nina's true identity. You cheated on Nicholas, and that vengeful guy will not let you go, so you must be highly vigilant and ensure Nina's safety. I know that a man like you is destined to have more than one woman, but if you are fickle and let Nina down, even if you escape to any corner of the Milky Way, I will find you and make you live a life worse than death. Teacher Safina, please rest assured that I'm not just one person. I also have a strong team. Our current team has many experienced C-level mecha masters. There are also the top hackers in the universe. Just like the communication I'm conducting with you, there is no danger. An icon like a power display will appear on your personal terminal. Please put your right index finger on it to enter a fingerprint, and then a password setting interface will appear, and you can set a password. If you want to contact Nina, next time you just need to place your finger on it for 10 seconds, and then enter the password you just set. You can activate this secret communication channel to talk to Nina. No one will monitor or track you, and no one will even discover the call. Chapter 406 Safina's Advice. Safina nodded to show that she knew, but she seemed to have thought of something else. Xia Xingchen, although you have a certain strength, you must be careful of the Snow Demon Knights. Snow Demon Knights, what kind of organization is that? Xia Xingchen took this matter very seriously. The advice of an S-class mecha master must have her reasons. Nicholas has set up a special department, headed by his confidant Brigadier General Andre. They are looking for elite young mecha divisions under the age of 35 throughout the Northern Empire, and have formed an elite mecha division team with 5,000 mechas. The lowest standard among them is also a D-class mecha division. These people are equipped with the most advanced mechas in the Northern Empire, and have undergone rigorous and cruel training. Moreover, they suppress Nicholas's rebels everywhere. They cooperate very well, and have rich practical experience. If you encounter them, run away quickly. Don't think too much. Even an A-class mecha division will not be able to deal with them easily if you are entangled by them. Xia Xingchen frowned. Teacher Safina, why haven't I heard of them? Various media in the Northern Empire, including the internet, have not mentioned them. They are the S-class confidentiality department of the Northern Empire. Except for a few die-hard fans of Nicholas and senior officials of the Northern Empire government, no one knows them, nor has they been announced to the outside world. They are not even in the military structure. They are directly led by Nicholas. Moreover, the media control in the Northern Empire is very strict. It is normal that you don't know. Thank you, teacher. I will pay attention. Xia Xingchen handed the personal terminal to Nina, who drove Xia Xingchen out of the house, and the master and apprentice talked in private. After the communication ended, Safina looked at her personal terminal and found that a lightning-like icon appeared on it. She put her right index finger on it, and a few seconds later, a password setting dialog box popped up. Safina set a password on it. All this really surprised Safina. In this era, human beings rely heavily on personal terminals. Therefore, people attach great importance to the privacy protection of personal terminals, and Xia Xingchen's partner can easily break through the firewall of the personal terminal, which shows a very strong technical strength. After the communication ended, Carlos reminded Xia Xingchen that someone was visiting. Xia Xingchen looked through the monitor and found that it was Ta. Ta decided to be loyal to Xia Xingchen on Hellstar. Xia Xingchen did not let him follow him and gave Ta 20 billion star coins, asking him to walk around the second-hand armor parts trading market next to the slave trading world and find suitable armor parts. Now that Nina has arrived, Yangma, Miyamoto Kenichi, and Colossal have no suitable mechas. The Black Duke mecha in Xia Xingchen's portable mecha space has also exploded, and now they all need to be replenished. And now there are no suitable mechas to buy in the Northern Empire, all of which have been requisitioned by Nicholas. So Xia Xingchen arranged for Ta to find some suitable parts first. Of course, the quality and how to use these parts are up to Ta to judge, which is also a test of Ta's mecha maintenance level. As for giving him 20 billion star coins, it is also a test of his character. Ta has been working very hard to visit every store these days. Recently, the second-hand mecha market has been very bleak, and Ta has a good relationship there. He has filled 10 mecha transport containers with various parts, weapons, and equipment, plus his mammoth mecha. A total of 11 mecha transport containers are filled. Xia Xingchen introduced Ta to all the members, and then asked Carlos to command the robot to move several mecha transport containers to the warehouse. The cargo hold of Count Dracula is next to the mecha cabin. This also makes it convenient for them to resupply. When several boxes were opened, Xia Xingchen was very excited. It turned out that he saw the wreckage of Kenichi Miyamoto's Animisha mecha and the two special alloy longswords. Kenichi Miyamoto's Animisha mecha was a personal mecha tailored for him. In the battle with Xia Xingchen, due to Miyamoto's negligence, Xia Xingchen cut off the forearm of the mecha with a sword. After the civil strife of the Tequila family, people found these damaged mechas. Since the Tequila family's manor was already a mess, the appearance of this mecha was smoked in the explosion of the villa. So it was simply sold as scrap metal by the Tequila family, so that some funds could be recovered, and some losses could be reduced. Xia Xingchen was completely happy. It was much better to have a mecha with excellent performance as a basis for modification than to assemble one randomly with accessories. He pulled Ta and Carlos to count these accessories, and then discussed the modification of the Animisha mecha in the conference room. In fact, with Carlos here, they basically don't need a mecha repairman. As long as they give him the drawings, the robots will do everything for them, and the work efficiency of robots is much higher than that of humans. Even in terms of design, Carlos can also obtain the most optimized design through various calculations. But Xia Xingchen only allowed him to refer to it, and the maintenance and modification work was still done by him and Ta. He didn't want himself and Ta to waste their skills because of over-reliance on Carlos. Moreover, he saw some of Carlos's designs, which looked very perfect, but always felt that something was missing. After thinking for a long time, he felt that there seemed to be a lack of soul in them. The joys and sorrows of the mecha repairman and the different understandings of the mecha all have an impact on the mecha. Maybe this impact is negligible for ordinary mecha masters, but Xia Xingchen is now about to touch that very high threshold. He can feel the mystery in it. A mecha with a soul is indeed more powerful. When it was almost time for dinner, Nina's goods finally arrived, and she went out to sign for them in person. For her safety, Xia Xingchen and others followed her out, and what came into view was a mecha transport container. Carlos commanded the robot to deliver the mecha transport container to the cargo hold of Count Dracula. Nina used her personal terminal to scan the operating panel of the container. After a sound of the electric motor, the container opened, and inside was a lying mecha. Chapter 407 Thundergod's Wings. Nina and Xia Xingchen climbed into the cockpit of the mecha together. Nina used her personal terminal to open the hatch again, and found a data storage device hanging from a rope above the hatch. Xia Xingchen inserted the data storage device into her personal terminal, and on it appeared the maintenance diagram of the mecha and a person's contact information. There was also a video document inside. Xia Xingchen turned on the play button. Nina, this Thor wing mecha was tailor-made for you by me. It was originally intended to be a gift for you as an 18th-year-old adult ceremony. Unexpectedly, the master Kalashnikov who made it was a perfectionist, and the construction period was delayed again and again. But it's good now. You can use it directly outside without exposing your identity. Since the mecha is brand new, there are no driving habit parameters set. You can set it with the general parameters first. This address and contact information are from Kalashnikov's son. His mecha repair shop is in Sakhalinsk. You can go to him to help you complete the settings. I saved Kalashnikov's life. He is my old friend for many years, and is absolutely trustworthy. Take care, Nina. Take good care of yourself. If things can't be done, come to me. Nina's eyes were wet, and she deeply felt the teacher's love for her. We don't need to find anyone else, dear. Leave the problem of driving parameter setting to me, Xia Xingchen said, hugging her shoulders. Nina nodded and gave up the driving position of the mecha. Xia Xingchen came to the driving position and turned on the power of the mecha. The main screen of the mecha flashed, and a lightning logo appeared. Below the lightning logo were 4 words, Wings of Thor. This is the name of this mecha. Then 4 options appeared on the screen. A enter system parameter settings, B enter general parameters, C enter simulated operating system, D exit. Xia Xingchen chose option A without hesitation. The operation interface on the screen flashed. Rows of parameters appeared immediately. While asking Nina about her driving habits, Xia Xingchen quickly entered various parameters on the small keyboard. After more than 10 minutes, the parameters were set. Xia Xingchen connected the mental power headband, restarted the power of the mecha, and the mecha's operating system began to run. Xia Xingchen controlled the mecha to stand up from the mecha transport container, and then slowly walked into the mecha cabin, and took a seat inside. Carlos controlled the robot to send all the accessories and weapons from the mecha transport container to the mecha cabin. There are now 10 mecha cabins on the Count Dracula. Carlos has equipped each mecha cabin with 2 robot mecha maintenance technicians, and recorded the voiceprints of everyone on the ship, so that everyone on the ship can directly give them orders. Everyone gathered in front of the mecha, and looked at this behemoth. Thor's wing mecha, height 5.1 meters. Parameters, strength 20, agility 24, defense 31, speed 38. The engine used by the mecha is the Dragon Core 5 nuclear power engine of the Tang Dynasty group. The thrusters are 4 medium-sized red light thrusters on the back. The biggest highlight of this mecha is the foldable flying wing on the back. The flying wing is folded by 68 macro white light thrusters, and can change the angle at will. And the flying wing is also a weapon launcher. The reason why the flying wing uses white light thrusters is that the flying wing is very easy to wear out in battle. If the red light thrusters are used, the maintenance cost is too high. The cost of the mecha will increase by 20%, and the improvement in performance is very limited. The mecha's melee weapons are 2 alloy daggers. It has no shield, but it has 4 mental shield systems and 8 light energy armor generators. The weapons and equipment of the Thor's Wings mecha are mainly medium and short range attacks, and it is equipped with many conceptual weapons and equipment. This is the work of Kalashnikov, a famous mecha designer in the Northern Empire. There are several unique weapons on the Thor's Wings mecha. The first is the electro-optical shield. This device will release a large amount of energy in a short period of time outside the mecha 1 to 2 meters to form an electro-optical shield, which completely wraps the mecha inside and forms an all-round defense without dead ends. This electro-optical shield is very powerful and can withstand the frontal bombardment of the spacecraft's plasma cannon. But its disadvantage is that it consumes a lot of energy. A brand new nuclear fusion fuel rod can only support the electro-optical shield for 100 seconds. The second weapon is the ionized light ball. There are 6 ionized emitters in the front of the mecha and 6 in the back. The launch is very inconspicuous, and most people don't know what the device is. It can eject ionized light balls with a diameter of more than 1 meter. The effective range of these light balls is about 1000 meters, and once launched, they can automatically search for targets. Because the mecha itself has an magnetic field, the ionized light ball will automatically search for targets as it is attracted by the electromagnetic field. If ordinary mechas without light energy shields are hit by an ionized light ball, all the electrical components in the mecha will be burned. Even if a mecha with a light energy shield system is hit by an ionized light ball, it will cause the light energy shield system to overload and fail, and consume a huge amount of energy from the enemy mecha. The third device is a lightning generator. The outside of the mecha can release 6 huge lightning bolts at the same time to attack enemy mechas within 50 meters of the Thor's Wings mecha, and the killing effect is similar to that of the ionized light ball. The fourth weapon is the bursting light ball. The mecha can release 6 huge light balls with a diameter of 3 meters and a range of 500 meters. The light balls will affect each other to form a huge electric grid, automatically attacking all targets within the light ball. The fifth weapon is the electric light rope. The mecha can suddenly shoot out 4 50-meter long electric light ropes to entangle the opponent's mecha, and then output ultra high voltage current to attack the opponent. This power is much greater than the lightning generator and the ionized light ball. The sixth weapon is the 2 alloy daggers, which are only 2/3 the length of ordinary mecha alloy swords, and are also narrower. However, the Thor's Wings mecha can be connected together through the discharge device in the hand. Once the opponent also uses alloy weapons, the Thor's Wings mecha will transmit electricity to the opponent's mecha. The seventh weapon is the biggest surprise, the magnetic field generator. The mecha master of the Thor's Wings can use mental power to control the magnetic field generator in the mecha, forming a magnetic field with a diameter of 30 meters outside the mecha. This magnetic field can attract the opponent to it, or push it away, to avoid the opponent's close attack. It is also effective against anti-mecha missiles. However, most of the weapons on the mecha require mental power generators, and only lightning mental power telepaths can use all the weapons and equipment on the Thor's Wings. Only Nina has the ability to control it. Kalashnikov is a mecha designer in the Northern Empire, who is as famous as Kasimov, the chief mecha designer of Northern Heavy Industries. It's just that Kasimov is better at designing universal mechas, while Kalashnikov is better at private customization. Every mecha of this old guy is handmade by him, and each one is different and exquisite. Even the mecha of Emperor Nicholas himself is the work of Kalashnikov. Nicholas also wanted him to work for Northern Heavy Industries, but this old man was stubborn and didn't give anyone face when he got angry. Moreover, he had a very deep friendship with most of the S-level and A-level mecha masters in the Northern Empire, so Nicholas didn't dare to force him. Kalashnikov had a kind of paranoia about his own work that seemed almost abnormal to outsiders. If he felt that this work could not even satisfy him, he would never let this product leave the factory. This is why Nina did not get the mecha in time for the coming of age ceremony. It took old Kalashnikov 3 years to design and manufacture the Thor Wings mecha. The Dragon Core V-controlled nuclear fusion engine of this mecha was obtained from the Tang Dynasty group by teacher Safina with a lot of favors and a lot of money. Then she spent a lot of money, especially a great favor, to ask Kalashnikov to help. When Kalashnikov was young, he was kidnapped because of his talent. The kidnappers forced him to design and manufacture mechas for them, but Kalashnikov refused sternly. He was also tortured and beaten. Later, Safina rescued Kalashnikov single-handedly in a mecha. Moreover, the two were of similar age and had a relationship, but because both of them had very strong personalities, they could not be husband and wife, but only good friends. The mecha was parked properly, and Nina entered the simulation mode of the mecha. Xia Xingchen was very satisfied with the setting of the mecha. Carlos, Tower, Xia Xingchen and others watched Nina's simulated combat video in front of the large screen of the mecha maintenance console, and they were all amazed. This mecha is simply a nightmare for melee mechas, and it has a great group attack capability, and hundreds of mechas cannot get close to it. However, the biggest flaw of the Thor's Wing mecha is that its weapons and equipment are energy intensive, and the fuel rods of the nuclear fusion engine need to be replaced after 2 or 3 battles. In addition, apart from the 2 medium-sized mecha laser cannons on the front and back of the mecha, the long-range firepower is a bit weak. However, Xia Xingchen is not worried about this, as there are more than a dozen nuclear fuel rods for mecha in his portable mecha space. Chapter 408, Mechas complete. Nina's mecha is done, and the next thing to do is to deal with Kenichi Miyamoto's Animisha mecha. Xia Xingchen took 70 minutes to dismantle the mecha with broken left and right forearms into parts. Xia Xingchen and Yugo made a new improvement to this mecha. Since there is no nuclear engine, this mecha still uses conventional fuel cells as power, so it cannot be installed with high energy consuming equipment such as light energy shields. However, the material of this mecha is very good. It is a fighting mecha, and the strength of the armor is also good. So Xia Xingchen made changes based on its original design. First of all, the arm parts. Carlos sent all the damaged forearm parts into the artificial intelligence space. After consuming a lot of energy, the forearm parts were repaired and reassembled. The newly processed and designed forearm and hand parts are more flexible and stronger than before. The battery pack and engine of the mecha are good. Xia Xingchen rewrote the driver of the engine to make the energy output loss smaller. Don't underestimate this software optimization, which has increased the instantaneous power output peak of this Animisha by 20% and the endurance of the mecha by 15%. When Kenichi Miyamoto modified this mecha, he did not consider air combat and space combat at all, so the back of the mecha was a bulky and thick armor. Moreover, the 4 thrusters are blue light thrusters, and the output power is very limited. Xia Xingchen removed 60% of the armor plates on the back of the mecha, and replaced all the thrusters with white light thrusters. 2 large white light thrusters and 2 medium white light thrusters are installed on the back. 6 white light thrusters are installed on each leg, totaling 12 white light thrusters, which increases the power output of the mecha thrusters by 80% and enables it to fly. In addition, a pair of small folding wings are designed on the back of the mecha, which helps to stabilize the posture during flight, and folding them up in battle will not affect close combat at all. In addition, 2 medium laser cannons are installed on the shoulders of the mecha, and the mounting point of the mecha laser rifle is added to the back of the mecha, so that the mecha has the ability to attack from a distance. In order to further make up for the lack of long-range attack capability of this mecha, Xia Xingchen also borrowed the somersault cloud system of the Monkey King mecha, and imitated it to build an identical flight platform for Miyamoto Kenichi's mecha. This flight platform greatly improved the flight capability of the mecha, and the 4 laser cannons on it further made up for the lack of long-range attack capability. Moreover, Xia Xingchen used his experience to optimize the design of many details of the mecha. Anyway, with Carlos, it was easy to improve these accessories. The tower watched on the side and secretly took note of the things he didn't understand, so that he could ask Xia Xingchen for advice. Xia Xingchen also rewrote the operating system of the mecha according to Miyamoto Kenichi's driving habits and martial arts level. This greatly improved the combat effectiveness of the mecha. Now if Miyamoto Kenichi drives this mecha, it will be very difficult for Xia Xingchen to defeat it with the Ranger mecha. Miyamoto Kenichi, it's yours, give it a name. Xia Xingchen pointed to the brand new black painted mecha in front of him and said happily. Miyamoto Kenichi thought for a while and said, this mecha can fly, and it is a sword fighting type combat mecha, so let's just call it Cloud Swordsman. Xia Xingchen helped Kenichi Miyamoto to modify his mecha, and Kenichi Miyamoto enthusiastically renamed the mecha Swordsman in the Clouds. Immediately afterwards, Kenichi Miyamoto and Nina immersed themselves in the simulation mode of the mecha, even to the point of forgetting to eat and sleep, because they now had to hurry up to familiarize themselves with the mecha and form combat effectiveness as soon as possible. After all, the Gemini 6 ghosts were still preparing to intercept them in space. Xia Xingchen's modification of the swordsman in the clouds mecha opened Ta's eyes. He was a self-taught person and had never seen two advanced mechas and such superb modification techniques. Xia Xingchen explained to him bit by bit, and also systematically expanded some relevant knowledge for him, which was exactly what Ta, who was a self-taught person, lacked. Xia Xingchen seemed to see himself in Ta's body, so he taught him very seriously. Ta absorbed the knowledge of mecha maintenance that Xia Xingchen taught him like a sponge. Xia Xingchen was shocked by the understanding and ability to draw inferences from one instance shown by the Ta. Xia Xingchen knew that in terms of talent, if he did not have the help of the core of faith, he would be far behind the Ta. This was a true genius, a rough diamond. Xia Xingchen had the urge to train him to be an excellent mecha maintenance master and designer. From the mecha parts purchased by the Ta, Carlos actually pieced together 4 Ranger Mechas. This is impossible for ordinary people because a large number of parts are missing. But this is not a problem for the powerful Carlos. Anyway, the structure of the Ranger is very simple, the technology is not complicated, and the parts are also very ordinary. Carlos synthesized all the missing parts through his artificial intelligence space, but the energy consumption is a bit high. In the past half month, Carlos has consumed 2 nuclear fuel rods for mechas. At Xia Xingchen's suggestion, Carlos gave up the idea of using 2 stand-in robots to drive the mecha separately. He simply cancelled the cockpit and directly replaced the driver with a light brain as big as a human head. This saved the cockpit space and installed a lot more things. Although the combat effectiveness of each Ranger is slightly worse than that of Carlos driving it himself, the advantage of numbers can definitely make up for the lack of combat effectiveness. These Ranger Mechas are equipped with a set of batteries, and there are large white light thrusters behind them. The most terrifying thing is that each Ranger is equipped with more than a dozen laser cannons. These 4 Rangers will have very high speed and firepower output, and with such powerful firepower, Carlos can even accurately control each laser cannon to aim and attack dozens of different targets. This is something that human mecha masters can't do at all. What's even more peculiar is that these Ranger Mechas have no melee ability at all, and they are not even equipped with light energy swords and alloy daggers. This is Xia Xingchen's suggestion, because under such powerful firepower, the opponent's mechas can get close, and a mecha master of this strength is no match, even if the Ranger is equipped with melee weapons. However, this does not mean that the Ranger mech will definitely be slaughtered. Xia Xingchen gave Carlos a very sinister idea. In order to deal with close opponents, these 4 mechas are equipped with a large amount of high explosives, and 6 retractable strong magnetic steel cables are installed on the chest of the mech. When the enemy breaks through the blockade of the firepower network and gets close to the Ranger mech, the 6 strong magnetic alloy steel cables will suddenly pop out, tie up the opponent's mech and pull it towards itself, and then self-destruct accurately under Carlos' control. The power of this mech's self-destruction is so great that even a nuclear mech with a light energy shield system and a mental shield will be seriously injured and lose its combat effectiveness if it is exploded like this. So far, 10 mechas have been installed in the 10 mech base of the Count Dracula, Xia Xingchen's Revenge Knight mech, Nina's Wings of Thunder mech, Miyamoto Kenichi's Cloud Swordsman mech, Yugo's Terami Warrior mech, Carlos's 4 Ranger mechas, named Manco No. 1, Manco No. 2, Manco No. 3 and Manco No. 4, Keele's Modified Space Knight mech. The last one is the Mammoth mech, but it cannot be used yet because it has no air combat capabilities. In the end, Carlos used the remaining parts to build a Royal Knight mech, which made Xia Xingchen overjoyed. This mech was a Royal Knight mech of the Galactic Empire military that was destroyed by an officer of the Northern Empire before the war, when he followed the Northern Empire's assault fleet to the Galactic Empire to cause damage. The cockpit of this mech was blown up, the engine was damaged, and the thruster was also dismantled. It was brought back by the officer as a trophy to show off. After showing off, it was sold as scrap metal. Seeing that the overall structure of the mecha was still intact, the Tau bought it. According to Xia Xingchen's requirements, Carlos equipped the mecha with a new cockpit, battery pack, engine, and 2 large white light thrusters and 4 medium white light thrusters on the back, and the speed reached an astonishing 35. Since the multifunctional night gun of the Royal Knight had long been gone, Carlos equipped it with an alloy shield, a mecha laser sniper rifle, an alloy dagger and a light sword. Xia Xingchen put this mecha into the portable mecha space and used it as a backup machine. Carlos used nearly 95% of the materials that the tower purchased. On the one hand, this showed Carlos's powerful ability, and on the other hand, it showed that the tower was a very visionary child. In particular, there were many wreckages of white light thrusters in these accessories. Carlos extracted a large amount of materials from them and made dozens of new white light thrusters to ensure that these mechas would not suffer in terms of power. This was also Xia Xingchen's requirement. If you can't beat others, you must run faster than them. In addition to the mecha on the Count Dracula, Carlos also built 10 space fighters. These fighters are 8 meters long, 3.5 meters high, and 3 meters wide when the wings are folded. They use a large blue light thruster and 2 medium blue light thrusters. Although fighters are completely defeated by mechas in the atmosphere, mechas may not be able to gain much advantage in space. Due to the small resistance in space, the main material of space fighters is lightweight aluminum alloy, so even with blue light thrusters, the speed and endurance of space fighters are far greater than mechas. The weapons of the space fighters are 4 medium-sized laser rapid-fire cannons, and they can also mount anti-mecha missiles. These are enough to cause damage to mechas. However, the only problem with space fighters is that they are fragile, without any armor or shield system, and basically one shot will kill them. Of course, this is not a problem for Carlos. He uses ordinary robots to drive, and actually controls it personally, so he is not afraid of war damage. Anyway, there are plenty of robots, and the cost of space fighters is much lower than that of mechas. Chapter 409 Colonel Menkov. 5 days later, 4 large mecha transport ships arrived at Gemini. There were no signs of ownership on the appearance of these 4 transport ships. They stayed in the space near Gemini, far away from the channel. An unmarked space shuttle flew to Gemini. This spaceship entered the atmosphere directly. What is strange is that the people at the Gemini space station found this shuttle, but seeing its identification code, the authority was very high, and no one dared to ask about their origins. Of course, all this was transmitted to Carlos through the central optical computer of Gemini. The space shuttle flew into the atmosphere and landed at the spacecraft launch site near Korovin Manor. The hatch opened, and a man in a black mecha division combat uniform came out of the cabin. He was nearly 2 meters tall, with sharp edges on his face, and a neat short haircut that looked very energetic. A pair of large sunglasses made people wonder what he was thinking. This man is called Menkov, with a military rank of colonel. He is the deputy commander of the Snow Demon Knights, an elite mecha unit directly under the command of Emperor Nicholas of the Northern Empire. He is 35 years old and a Class B mecha division. Menkov is the second in command of the Snow Demon Knights, second only to the leader, Brigadier General Andre. Andre has to accompany Nicholas frequently for various reasons. Therefore, the general affairs of the Snow Demon Knights are handled by Colonel Menkov. Now, as more and more merchants in various parts of the Northern Empire are resisting Nicholas' tyranny, in order to cooperate with the actions of the Northern Empire's Ministry of the Interior, the Snow Demon Knights have no choice but to divide their 5,000 mecha divisions into dozens of action teams to carry out suppression activities in various parts of the Northern Empire. This time, the Korovin family sent a message requesting support. Menkov decided to send 200 Class D mecha divisions, based on Dematia Korovin's intelligence. These 200 mecha divisions are not from the normal Snow Demon Knights, but from the 1,000 reserve members they recently recruited. Colonel Menkov didn't want to come here. He had more important things to do, but because of the special status of the Korovin family, this time it was Dematia again. Korovin personally came out. In order to show his importance to the Korovin family, Andrei specially arranged for Colonel Menkov to come in person. Menkov and his 4 men behind him wearing urban camouflaged combat uniforms got on a luxury maglev RV and headed straight for the Korovin Manor. There was a villa more than 10 kilometers away from the Korovin Manor. The car drove into the heavily guarded villa and drove directly into the garage. After the garage door opened, the car slowly drove into the garage, but the garage door slowly fell. Then, the wall facing the car in the garage opened from both sides, and in front of it was actually the entrance to an underground passage. The maglev RV drove underground for dozens of kilometers and finally came to a huge underground space. Here, a bald man and his entourage were waiting there early. This man was Mattia Korovin. The car stopped steadily, the door opened, and Mattia Korovin took the initiative to greet him. Colonel Mainkov, welcome to Heaven Star. Due to the need for confidentiality, I was unable to go to the airport to greet you in person. Please forgive me. Mattia Korovin was very humble. Mr. Mattia, you are too polite. I'm a soldier. My primary goal is to complete the mission. It is reasonable to do anything to complete the mission. I can understand. I have heard of your great name for a long time. It is worth the trip to meet you today. Mainkov knew that the bald man in front of him was one of the most powerful people in the Northern Empire. His status and influence in the Korovin family even exceeded that of the Patriarch Bailey. Nicholas also appreciated him very much. Such a person could put down his status and smile, which made Mainkov admire him even more, and also a little afraid. Please come in. Let's talk in detail. Please, the two of them said humbly, and walked into the meeting room side by side. There were only two of them in the secret meeting room. Now all the affairs of the Korovin family in Gemini Star are fully taken over by Mattia Korovin. Mr. Mattia, I'm a soldier and I don't like to be polite. Let's get straight to the point. Okay, that's straightforward. I like people like you, Colonel Mainkov. After completing this mission, I will personally arrange for you and your brothers to have fun on Paradise. Mattia then introduced Mainkov to the current power comparison and war preparations of both sides on Paradise. I wonder how many troops General Mainkov brought. In addition to me, 200 mechas. 200 mechas? This? Mattia frowned. Haha. Seeing Mattia's look, Mainkov laughed up to the sky. Don't worry, Master Mattia. With your status, you should know what kind of team our snow knights are. Mattia nodded, and Mainkov continued. The 200 mecha divisions coming this time are all D-class mecha divisions. But you know the selection criteria of our snow demons. Their strength is far beyond that of ordinary D-class mecha divisions. Their combat effectiveness, to be frank, can completely wipe out 1000 mechas of your Korovin family with a combat loss rate of less than 20%. In addition, I'm a B-class mecha division. It is easy for me to destroy 500 mechas by myself. So now, do you think you are still worried? With you here, I'm 100% relieved. Mattia Korovin's brows finally relaxed and he smiled. The second in command of the Snow Knights, the Deputy Commander-in-Chief Colonel Mainkov, quietly arrived at Heaven Star and had a secret meeting with Mattia Korovin at the Korovin family base. The mecha divisions that we are participating in this operation are all excellent mecha divisions, and their mechas are all the latest flagship products of Northern Heavy Industries. Among them, 100 are the latest enhanced Direwolf mechas that have come off the production line, and another 100 are Flying Wolf mechas with superb air combat capabilities. Mainkov once again gave Mattia a shot of confidence. Okay, we are relieved to have your help, sir. Chapter 410 Conspiracy. But, Mainkov looked embarrassed. Lord Mattia, you have to know that our troops have come from Siberia, and the consumption is very high. In this battle, the pressure of supply is very high, and the enemy is also very strong. There may be losses of mecha divisions and mechas. Now the Empire is expanding its military everywhere to prepare for war, and we, the Snow Demons, are also expanding our scale, so the funds are a bit tight, and the morale of the soldiers is not very high. Please rest assured, Colonel Mainkov, I will make the decision on this operation, and 1/3 of the income from the Zyumo family's property will be given to the Snow Demon Knights. Mattia is a man who can see through the other party's little calculations at a glance. But Mainkov's face was not good at this time. He was also used to being domineering. Wherever their Snow Demon Knights acted, they would get the biggest share. Even if they cooperated with the actions of the Ministry of the Interior of the Northern Empire, they would meet and share half. Mr. Mattia, are you sending away beggars? We are not an ordinary army. Even if we act together with the Imperial Ministry of the Interior, we will take the lion's share. Mecha raised his eyebrows, with murderous eyes. If it were an ordinary person, he might be scared to pee his pants by Mecha's momentum. But the bald man in front of him was obviously not an ordinary person. And this guy in front of him has reached the state of not showing his emotions. This is a state of being a fox. Colonel, please leave a way out for us, so that we can meet next time. Do you think the remaining money belongs to our Korovin family? To tell you the truth, after deducting the losses of the Korovin family in this operation, we will not keep a penny, and the remaining money will be handed over to His Majesty Nicholas. Besides, do you know how much property the Zumo family has? Otherwise, I will let the family apply to His Majesty right away to give you 2/3. How about this? I think His Majesty will not treat the warriors of the Snow Demon Knights unfairly. Dematia looked calm and still looked at Mecha with a smile. But these words made Mecha sweat coldly. The man sitting opposite him seemed not to be a kind middle-aged man, but a hungry beast. He suddenly remembered that this man was from the Korovin family, and what he said was absolutely right. The Korovin family would give all the money to the Nicholas family. If they really reported this to Nicholas, then his family would be confiscated and exterminated. Even Brigadier General Andrei, who was very optimistic about him, could not afford to offend the Korovin family, and could not protect him. Master Dematia, you misunderstood. I will do as you said. Mecha lowered his head. No matter how good a fighter he is, a person without brains can never reach the position of colonel. But there are still some things that need your help, Colonel. Just tell me what you want us to do. We, the Snow Demon Knights, will fully cooperate with you. This time, in addition to the power of the Zumo family, there are a few petty thieves in the space of Gemini. The 6 of them are superpowers, nicknamed the Gemini 6 Ghosts. They only have one medium-sized spaceship, but 5 of the 6 of them are C-class mecha masters. These people robbed and looted on the Gemini space station and the surrounding waterways, doing all kinds of evil, and not giving face to anyone. The local security forces are simply unable to deal with them. I hope that you and the Snow Demon Knights can help us deal with them. Mecha frowned. These C-class mecha masters, even if all the 200 D-class mecha masters he brought were dispatched, would be difficult to take down, and even if they were taken down, it would be a miserable victory. Unless he took action himself. Seeing Colonel Mecha's hesitation, Dematia Korovin took out an anonymous payment card from his pocket. Here is 100 billion star coins, but not for your knights, but for you. You have done us a big favor, so this money is for you to maintain the mecha. Dematia knew very well that giving a sweet date after a slap was a good idea. 100 billion star coins was by no means a small amount. In the impoverished Northern Empire, this price was enough to hire an A-class mecha master. You are too polite. I will take care of the 6 ghosts. But the 6 ghosts are not the main thing. The mission on Gemini is the most critical, right? I wonder when you plan to launch the attack? I can arrange the troops to cooperate with you. Mecha was as docile as a pug under the other party's kindness and power. It will take us 3 to 5 days to prepare for the battle. If your troops want to land, it's best to do it secretly. Our Korovin family's landing ships can smuggle about 50 mechas every day. Mecha pondered for a moment and said, how about this? We use your family's landing ships to quietly transport 50 mechas to Heaven Star every day, and continue to transport them for 3 consecutive days. After 3 days, I will lead the remaining 50 mechas to deal with the 6 ghosts directly. 5 days later, you will launch a general attack, and my mechas and the remaining 50 mechas will use the mecha landing capsule to land directly on the battlefield. Okay, it's settled. Colonel Mecha, I have prepared a lot of programs. You can rest here for 2 days and appreciate the enthusiasm of Heaven Star. 2 days later, I will send a space shuttle to pick you up and send you back to the spacecraft. Dematia said with a smile. Then obey your order. In a dock on the Gemini V satellite, Carlos was preparing the final part of the modification work of Count Dracula. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he hurriedly called Collis and Keeler. Several people came to the command room on the ship. Carlos showed a command document on the big screen. Order. The troops will assemble and stand by in the airspace of Gemini 98, 12, and 90. Snow Demon Team 01, Snow Demon 02, and Snow Demon 03 will land on the core of Infamily's landing spacecraft in 3 days. Bring all weapons and equipment. UC. May 2nd, 2020. Participate in the battle against the Zumo family. Snow Demon Team 04 is ready to launch a battle against the Gemini 6 ghosts on UC. April 30th, 2020. Below the document is a signature and encrypted electronic seal of a man named Mechas. Carlos, Xia, and Xia Xingchen were in the command room of Count Dracula. Carlos showed them a piece of intelligence, which was an order sent from heaven to the fleet in space. Chapter 411 Response. Where did this come from? Xia Xingchen and Xia were both shocked. This is an encrypted file package sent through a secret communication channel I established in a place with a high level of confidentiality in the central optical computer of Gemini. The encryption level of the file is very high. It took me dozens of minutes to crack it before I could open the file package. The sender of the file package is a personal terminal used by the military of the Northern Empire located in the manor of the core of Infamily on Paradise Star. It is this person. Another long section of information was projected on the big screen. This was Colonel Mechas' personal information, mecha information and some personal documents. The recipients of the document are 4 large mecha transport ships located at positions 89, 09, and 34. These 4 ships carry more than 200 mechas in total. I found a lot of interesting things in the central optical computer of the ship. The main one is the Snow Demon Knights. They have a staff of 5,000 people, and now they have expanded by 1,000 people. Their commander-in-chief is Brigadier General Andrei, who is a favorite of Nicholas. Their headquarters is in Voronezh, near the Siberian starfield in the Khabarovsk starfield. The 200 mecha divisions that came here this time are all young D-class mecha divisions. Nina's teacher Safina also reminded us to be very careful of the Snow Demon Knights. And this Vengeance Wolf mecha. I think the people we are looking for are the people of this Snow Demon. Xia Xingchen supplemented the information he knew, and then asked Xia, "Ale, does the killer world have information about the Snow Demons?" "Yes, but they are all bounties against them. We only know that they are a secret force under Nicholas. They have offended too many people in the past few months. Our spaceship will be ready soon, but what should we do next? If we fight with the 6 ghosts first, and let these guys take advantage of us, they might even implicate us." Xia was a little unhappy. Xia Xingchen thought for a long time. We can't fight alone in the Northern Empire. We must unite all the people we can unite. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Carlos, you prepare 2 copies of this information. I will give one to the Zumo family and the other to the 6 ghosts. In addition, some information about the Snow Demon's optical brain, such as their size, the main person in charge, and the location of their base, should be sent to the killer network of the Northern Empire. We must make trouble for them. But Xingchen, there is a problem now. Xiu Yan and Xiu are no longer in Gemini, and Xiumo is not there either. Of course, they are still there on the surface. Xia Xingchen was a little confused. "Carlos, are you infected with a virus? Your logic is messed up." Carlos showed an embarrassed expression. "It's like this. I hacked into Xiu Yan and Xiu's personal terminals through the internet, and found that their personal terminals are still on Heaven Star, but the people wearing these 2 terminals are not themselves. Instead, they are 2 highly simulated robots with superb technical levels. Through the monitoring system, I can also tell that Mr. Xiumo, who is now in their manor, is also a robot. The 3 of them are no longer here. I tracked back through their personal terminals and found a very secret data source that is constantly sending data through personal terminals. I tracked this data source and found that it came from outside the coverage of Gemini Skynet and was issued through a signal relay station. Since this signal source is one-way encrypted, I have no way to track their location for the time being. But I can release information to them." Xia and Xia Xingchen smiled at each other. It seemed that the old guy Zumo was well prepared. They worried for nothing. More than 10 minutes later, in an asteroid belt outside Gemini, there were several resource satellites that had been abandoned for hundreds of years. The location was very remote and on the other side of the Gemini star. But now, it was very lively here. A fleet composed of dozens of medium and large spaceships had established a powerful defense system based here. The center of the defense system was a small armed fortress satellite with a diameter of 5 kilometers. In a classically decorated house inside the satellite, Xiumo was drinking flower tea from Earth. And Xiu Yan was on duty in the command center of the armed fortress satellite. It turned out that Xiumo had been prepared for the arrival of this day. He began to secretly transfer property and recruit soldiers in space more than 10 years ago. Many outstanding war slaves of the Xiumo family were transferred to this secret base. After years of training, the strength of the Xiumo family in space is enough to crush the security forces of Gemini. Even if a squadron of the Northern Empire came, it would not be able to gain any advantage over them. Xiumo had already thought about it. After the war started, he would hide in a secret base and wait for the war to end. Their savings over the years would be enough to last 4 decades. Moreover, the Northern Empire did not have the energy to wipe them out. Moreover, Xiumo knew very well that it would be difficult for Nicholas to win this war. They just had to wait for the day when Nicholas failed, which would be the day when they would see the light of day again. As for the slaves and industries left by the Xiumo family on Gemini, it was just an empty shell. However, in order to conceal his tracks, Xiumo spent a lot of money to secretly customize several high simulation robots. Every day, Xiu gave orders to the 3 robots through his personal terminal. On the surface, these 3 people were wandering around the Xiumo family's manor every day, and everything was the same as before. At this time, Xiu walked over with a solemn expression. "Old man, there was an accident." Xiumo looked up at Xiu calmly, pointing to the bamboo chair opposite. "Ayo, sit down and talk, don't panic." "Old man, we have received intelligence that the core of In family is going to take action against us in 5 days, on May 2nd. And the Snow Demon Knights are coming too, with a Class B mecha division and 200 mechas. This is a good thing, let them come. Our property has been transferred long ago. They want our things. I want them to lose more than they gain." Xiumo said confidently. "Old man, the biggest problem is that we may have been exposed now." "Why do you think so?" Xiumo raised his eyelids. Xiu handed Xiumo a reader. "When I sent a command to the robot through the program compiler today, a data packet suddenly came from there, which contained this command, some information about the Snow Demon and a letter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 412 Warning. Xiumo took the reader from Xiu curiously and saw Mainkov's order and the information about the Snow Demon Knights. Then he opened the letter. "Brother Xiu, I'm grateful for the warm hospitality of you 2 brothers and Mr. Xiumo. Especially the old man's teaching. Yugo and I have benefited a lot. We have no way to repay you. Our team has hacker masters and intelligence experts. We accidentally intercepted this information. According to the intelligence, we analyzed that someone might want to harm you. I hope you can prepare early. We don't know your specific location, and we will keep it strictly confidential. Please rest assured. In addition, we have another idea." The letter was signed by Axing. Ha 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 ha. Xiumo laughed out loud. "Ayo, you are really worrying too much. We did the right thing by forming this good relationship. Our crossing is a very sincere kid. I trust him, so let's do as he says and add a little more to our gift." In the evening, at dock number 1 of the Belit spacecraft maintenance plant of the Gemini 5 satellite, the workers completed a day's work and left the dock. Shang, who has full body mechanical prostheses, is checking the maintenance of the spacecraft today with the second oldest, Pelusa, and the 5 ghosts, Rusfan. "Brother, when will our 6 brothers and sisters be repaired? I'm so anxious. What if those guys run away?" Pelusa has a bad temper and is very impatient. "It will probably take another 5 days. Brother, let's pay a little more and let them work overtime. We can earn several times the repair fee if we go out and do some work." "Second brother, be patient. This is not about money. I have already inquired about it. It will take at least half a month to repair all the parts and materials of the spacecraft that those people bought. Besides, haste makes waste. We are in this mess, and the safety of the spacecraft is the first priority. Well, okay. Pelusa scratched his head. For him, the eldest brother's words are always right. At this time, the alarm sounded in the spacecraft. There are intruders in the dock. The flame ghost Innova was on duty in the cockpit, and suddenly found that the door of the dock was opened, and several people came out. The two young men were in the lead, followed by a person with full body mechanical prosthesis, a Japanese warrior and a tall Terumi. Innova's pupils suddenly shrank. She found that these people were the members of the black spacecraft and hurriedly sounded the alarm. Shang ordered Innova and the naughty ghost Alessa to stay in the cockpit, and rushed out with the remaining brothers. Stop. This is private territory. If you take another step forward, I will kill you without mercy. Shang shouted. Behind him, the terrifying Demon King Brunswick, the vampire Rusfan and the Rock Pelusa all took fighting stances. Haha, this is really the biggest joke I have ever heard of. You are allowed to show off your power in our place, but can't we come for a walk? Did your excellency misunderstand something? Shang's mechanical prosthesis was a bit rough, and the expression on his face could not be seen at all. In the eyes of the crazy Dr. Affa, the device for expressing expression was redundant. No misunderstanding. A few days ago, when our spaceship was on trial voyage, Mr. Brunswick and Miss Flame Scorpion Snake Innova broke into our dock and wanted to use 10 billion New Zealand dollars, which was like waste paper, to buy the spaceship that I spent nearly 200 billion star coins to buy and modify. Isn't this robbery? We disagreed, but these two people actually took action. I have a surveillance video here. Do you want to see it? Since you know about us 6 ghosts, you dare to come to us. It seems that you are tired of living. Exploding Rock Pelusa did not have such a good temper. He was about to rush up, but was stopped by Shang. What is your purpose? Are you here to show off your military power? Shang asked. You are not worthy of showing off our military power, even in terms of piloting mechas. I know you have 5 C-class mecha divisions, and 1 D-class mecha division, the bald one. But I want to tell you that our C-class mecha divisions are not less than yours. If we really have to fight, you won't get any advantage. In addition, I'll give you something to see, and then you can decide whether to be our enemy. Goodbye. Xia Xingchen said, throwing a data storage device to Shang. Then he turned and left. Miyamoto Kenichi and Yugo were cautious and alert, and walked out with their backs turned. They were very conscientious and afraid that Xia Xingchen would be attacked. Brother, be careful. Pelusa suddenly swelled up a lot, and his muscles tore through his clothes. A layer of grey light flashed, and he turned into a monster covered with rock. He rushed forward and grabbed the data storage device. As a result, the expected explosion or poison gas did not happen. Give it to me. Second brother, you are too nervous. Fifth brother, go and close the dock door and check it carefully. Everyone else, follow me to the conference room. The 6 ghosts came to the conference room. Shang inserted the data storage device into the card reader, and several documents were transmitted to the big screen. Among them were Colonel Mainkov's order, Colonel Mainkov and the Snow Knights files, and some photos. After reading them, several people fell into deep thought. Damn Snow Knights, why should we be afraid of them? Let's just beat them. Let's not say 50, even if 500 come. Our brothers and sisters are not afraid of birds. Pelusa was the first to break the silence. Second brother, it's not that simple. These mecha divisions are the elite mecha divisions in the Northern Empire. In terms of technology, actual combat experience, and tactical coordination, they are really not bad. And once the armies are well integrated and cooperate with each other, it will bring us a lot of trouble. Especially this Colonel Mainkov. He is a Class B mecha division. Second brother, you haven't reached that level, so you may not be able to understand. To put it simply, the gap between a Class B mecha division and a Class C mecha division is dozens of times larger than the gap between a Class C mecha division and a Class D mecha division. If it is really as the intelligence says, he has the ability to wipe out all of us by himself, and this is by no means alarmist. Brunswick made his analysis. Chapter 413 Escape. At this time, Innova spoke up. Third brother, have you ever considered that this might be an empty city plan of those people? They can't beat us, so they came up with this method to scare us away. It must be like this. Yanova was still upset about being defeated by Nina. She was very unconvinced. Fourth brother, you tell me. Shang said to the vampire Rusfin, who was frowning all the time. Rusfin was infected with the vampire virus when he was very young, and he grew up naturally, so he is stronger than ordinary vampires. And in the process of his natural growth, he activated the recessive genetic genes of vampires and inherited a vampire racial talent. Rusfin's racial talent is called Danger Foresight. Since he transformed, he has possessed an ability, which is to have a very accurate premonition of the upcoming risks. With this premonition, the brothers and sisters have escaped danger many times. So Shang attaches great importance to Rusfin's feelings. Extremely dangerous. Big brother, we are facing a huge crisis. I have never felt so depressed, or even desperate. But I can't tell whether this is the danger brought to us by those people or the danger mentioned in the intelligence. I can't tell. I suggest that we move immediately and leave here. Little sister, what do you think? Brother, I'm still young and don't understand, but I can feel that the 5 people just now are very strong. The 6 of us together may not be their opponents. Big brother, you should make the decision. Shang was silent for a moment. Little sister's feeling is right. I feel the same way. I even scanned the whole body robot prosthesis just now, and all my scanning and detection instruments could not penetrate its external armor. It can be said that the guy's combat power is stronger than me. As for the Snow Demon Knights they mentioned, I have heard of them. They may be a big trump card prepared by Nicholas for the upcoming war. We may become their whetstone. Over the years, my brothers and sisters have offended too many people here in Gemini. The 4 major families and the entire security forces hate us to the core. So it makes sense that they took this opportunity to intercept and kill us. Our only way to survive is that their large forces will go to deal with the Zumo family. As long as we can avoid their interception as soon as possible, there will be a glimmer of hope. Brother, just tell us what to do. We will listen to you. Yes, listen to brother. Shang Yi waved his hand. Okay, don't be anxious and panic. Listen to me slowly. First of all, Leo-san, you go to the boss of the repair shop and give him extra money, as much as you want, so that the workers can work overtime overnight. In short, the main maintenance and supply of the spacecraft must be completed tomorrow night. Don't worry about the weapon system. You tell them that we will have a test voyage tomorrow night. If it is completed on time, there will be a big reward. Second, everyone go to check and maintain your mecha. At that time, we can only rely on mecha to fight. Third, from now on, we will be divided into 3 groups. 1 person will be the supervisor, and 1 person will be responsible for the safety near the dock. If there is any disturbance, the alarm will be sounded immediately. As soon as the spacecraft takes off, it will immediately enter the first level combat readiness state, but we must not be overwhelmed by fear. Yes, brother. 2 days later, the weapon system of Count Dracula was finally installed. Xia Xingchen and others held a small celebration ceremony and opened a few bottles of red wine to celebrate. Last night, the 6 brothers and sisters of Gemini 6 Ghosts fled from Gemini V in the name of a trial voyage. Due to time constraints, their spacecraft was not even painted, and no weapon system was installed. What they didn't know was that among the workers who worked overtime last night, there were 2 spies sent by the core of In family. They installed multiple positioning devices in various corners of the spacecraft. The every move of the 6 brothers and sisters was under the surveillance of the core of In family. Captain Bielsa, Count Dracula is yours now. I'm just the commander-in-chief of the operation. You have the final say on this ship. Captain Bielsa was very excited. He seemed to have returned to decades ago when he saw the newly launched Galaxy Explorer. The weapon system of Count Dracula is an improved plasma cannon in the front ram of the spacecraft, with a maximum range of 800 kilometers. At the front of the ship, at the root of the plasma cannon, there are 4 heavy laser cannons. However, the barrels are usually retracted inside the ship, one for the purpose of camouflage, because the Northern Empire prohibits merchant ships from installing medium-sized laser cannons. On the other hand, it is also for stealth performance considerations. The tail of the mecha is equipped with 4 large twin-mounted laser rapid-fire cannons. The range is the same as the laser cannon of the main gun, which is 500 kilometers. Its function is to attack the pursuing enemy and make the enemy flustered. The close-range weapon of Count Dracula is 60 twin-mounted small laser cannons and 80 macro-laser rapid-fire cannons. A total of 4 large laser rapid-fire cannons with rotating turrets are hidden on the top and bottom of the ship. In addition, there are 2 missile launch nests at the front and tail of the ship. There are 4 space torpedo launchers in the middle of the ship. With 10 mechas and 10 space fighters, the combat effectiveness of Count Dracula is not inferior to that of a heavy space mecha cruiser. After the final inspection, all the robots put away their maintenance tools. Carlos quietly loaded the remaining parts and materials into the AI space. After paying the maintenance fee, everyone boarded the spaceship. Julian sat in the main driving seat, Carlos sat in the co-pilot seat, and the other driving seats were all Carlos robots. Captain Bielsa took the captain's seat, and everyone else sat behind him. Count Dracula, main power started, system self-check. Self-check completed, all systems are normal. Engine started, power 5%, backup power charging started. Open the top of the front of the dock, release the spacecraft fixing device. Main engine power 10%, thrusters start working, takeoff angle 15 degrees. Thrusters power 20%. Turn on the avoidance indicator light, enter the main channel. The spacecraft enters the main channel, and all systems self-check again. Thrusters power 50%, has entered the main channel. The detection system is turned on at full power. No spacecraft or reconnaissance satellites were found within a distance of 15,000. The Northern Empire land navigation and positioning system is turned off. The Mirage system is turned on, and the thrusters enter stealth propulsion mode. Adjust the course and leave the main channel. The target position is Gemini 98, 12, 90 airspace. Enter stealth state, speed 1000 km per hour. The autopilot system is turned on. Carlos, the rest is up to you. Understood, Captain. Amidst the applause of the crowd, the Count Dracula set foot on its first battlefield. All combatants come to the command center for a meeting. Xia Xingchen ordered. So, except for the tower who was studying the mecha maintenance technology in the mecha cabin and the bomb maniac Baum who was also studying the explosive device for mecha in the mecha cabin, the others came to the command center on the Count Dracula. Let me talk about the goal of our battle this time. Our goal this time is 3 to 4 large mecha transport ships located in the airspace of Gemini 98, 12, and 90. These transport ships belong to the Snow Demon Knights, a direct unit under the command of Emperor Nicholas, the Emperor of the Northern Empire. They will attack the Xiumo family's industry on Gemini on May 2nd, 2020. We expect to reach this airspace at the same time as they launch. Their escort force at this time will not exceed 20 mechas. At the same time, the space forces of the Xiumo family will raid the Gemini space station, Gemini satellites and other facilities as well as the fleet of the Gemini security forces. These fleets are not protected by mechas and are very vulnerable. The Xiumo family has set a huge trap for them in the battle in the atmosphere of the Gemini star. The armed forces attacking the Xiumo family will definitely suffer heavy losses this time. Chapter 414 Encounter. Xia Xingchen and others held a meeting at the command center of Count Dracula to discuss the next action plan. Xingchen, if we just leave like this, won't it be too easy for those big families? If we just leave like this, won't it be too easy for them? We have made a lot of plans for assassination, poisoning, sabotage, panic, etc., but none of them seem to be used. Keela was very unwilling. Haha, Ole, you don't know that this time we have found so many like-minded companions, which is already a profit. What's more, we have prepared a bigger surprise for them. Carlos, introduce them to them. Carlos pretended to be human and coughed twice, causing a large group of people to laugh. I have now fully controlled the central optical computer of Gemini and the command system of the military of the Northern Empire in this area. The situation of us and the Xiumo family will be replaced by wrong intelligence, so we can do our best without worrying about the other party discovering and exposing our whereabouts. As for the assassination that Ale mentioned, don't you think it's too childish? My plan is that when those people attack the Xiumo family, I will remove the collars of the slaves in the entire Gemini, including all satellites and space stations, and delete the slave files in all the network databases of this planet. Think about it. Tens of billions of oppressed and deprived slaves suddenly regained their freedom and had the hope of escaping. They will definitely take up arms to fight. In addition, I will use other means to help them. As long as the Zumo family fights for a little bit to defeat the Gemini space fleet, what we leave to Nicholas's 2 riotous planets and an important source of income for their northern empire will be gone. This chaotic situation, let alone restoring the status quo, even maintaining normal order requires a large number of troops, manpower, material resources and financial resources, as well as time. This is enough to cause great trouble to Emperor Nicholas. Everyone was shocked after hearing this. This was definitely a huge move. At the same time, they were full of admiration for Carlos. Xia Xingchen then added, I have asked Xiaolin to check out of the Golden City Hotel immediately and let her go to the Gemini space station. Carlos is now remotely controlling the evil mind and is on his way to the space station. He will pick up Xiaolin there and meet up with us directly. We will evacuate as soon as possible after dealing with those spaceships and head to the core of In Galaxy. From the wormhole there, we will go directly to the Bakel Star region in the east. Now, everyone should gather their strength and prepare for battle. April 30th, 2020. It is already late in the evening. After more than a day of flying, the 6 brothers and sisters spacecraft is about to arrive at the edge of the Gemini starfield after a whole day of trekking. There are no airways in this airspace, and the celestial conditions are very complicated, so it is sparsely populated. However, for the Gemini 6 ghosts who often rob and loot and do not take the usual path, this place is like a back garden. None of the 6 brothers and sisters are spaceship pilots, but they have purchased several slaves who can drive spaceships over the years. These people are good at technology and very loyal. Inova stared at the radar system in the cockpit for almost a whole day. She has been nervous since morning, but fortunately she has not found any trace of the enemy so far. She finally breathed a sigh of relief and stretched lazily without caring about her image. The 2 big treasures on her chest swayed with the movement of her arms. The men in the cockpit almost had nosebleeds, and some of them swallowed their saliva involuntarily. However, when Inova's very unfriendly eyes swept over, they all sobered up. Such a woman is not something they can covet. Brother, it seems that everything is fine. The Gemini range will be used in a few hours. Those people are still busy dealing with the Zumo family, so how can they care about us? The vampire Russ then frowned even more at this time. Brother, 4th sister, it's not that simple. I feel that the danger is getting closer and closer to us. Suddenly, a red alarm sounded in the cockpit. There is a situation. Position 98, 44, 45, detention 650. A large mecha transport ship was found behind the asteroid. The spacecraft pilot shouted in panic. Why did you see it just now? Are you blind? Inova yelled to the driver. Report. Report to the 4th miss. The spaceship hid on the back of the asteroid and shut down its engine, so our detectors didn't find them. Look, their engines are ignited and coming towards us. Enemy mechas are dispatched. The distance is 500. The number is 51. All are the latest flying wolf mechas of the Northern Empire. Shank stood up from the chair and waved his hand. Brothers and sisters, let's dispatch the mechas and prepare to meet the enemy. Then he told the pilot to turn the spaceship around and get away from the battlefield. Because the 6 brothers and sisters did not have any weapons and equipment, and once the spaceship was destroyed, the brothers and sisters would really be dead without a burial place. Not long after, 7 mechas filed out of the mecha cabin of the 6 brothers and sisters. The 51 magic wolves on the opposite side lined up in a neat formation and pounced on the 6 brothers and sisters. Among them, there was a mecha that was obviously much larger than the other flying wolf mechas and quietly fell at the end of the wolf pack. It was not a flying wolf mecha, but a transformable revenge wolf mecha. With the commissioning of the Ice Core No. 1 engine, Northern Heavy Industries has built a total of 5 revenge wolf nuclear powered mechas so far. These mechas are naturally allocated to the elites of the Snow Demon Knights. If the Revenge Wolf mecha is transformed into a beast form, its appearance is not much different from the Flying Wolf mecha, so the mecha masters of the Snow Demon Knights who drive it often use the beast form to quietly approach the enemy and play the pig to eat the tiger. At this time, the person sitting in this mecha was Colonel Mainkov, who had just joined the troops early in the morning. Since there was a tracker installed by spies on the 6 brothers and sisters, they had already determined the route of the 6 brothers and sisters. Colonel Mechas personally led the Hive 4 large mecha transport ship to ambush and intercept here. On the night of April 30th, 2020, 50 flying wolf mechas of the Snow Demon Knights directly under the command of Emperor Nicholas the Great of the Northern Empire, led by Commander Colonel Mechas, robbed and killed the Gemini 6 Ghosts, a famous star pirate group of this generation, in the edge space area of the Gemini Galaxy. Chapter 415, Firefight. The two sides were only 500 kilometers apart. Since neither ship had strong firepower, the 6 brothers and sisters had not even installed any weapons when they hurriedly left the ship maintenance plant of the Gemini 5 satellite, so both sides directly released all the mechas to decide the outcome with Mechas. Colonel Mechas commanded the Battle of the Snow Knights in his Vengeance Wolf mecha. Each mecha team can fire freely, and every 7 to 8 mechas form a firepower unit and conduct oppressive shooting on the opponent. Be careful to dodge the opponent's shooting. Hive 04, release anti-mecha cluster missiles. I will deal with their mothership. In space, a red and white flame drew a straight line and chased the 6 brothers and sisters. Brother, they are going to cut off our retreat. Inova shouted anxiously. But now they are entangled tightly. The flying wolf mechas fighting in small clusters are simply wolves in space. They have solid basic skills, are well trained, and have a tacit cooperation. The 6 ghosts are entangled tightly. What's even more terrible is that now the anti-mech cluster missiles have also arrived. 4 missiles with a diameter of 2.5 meters came at high speed and suddenly exploded when they were 30 kilometers away from them. Each cluster missile broke into 18 anti-mech missiles and attacked the 6 people at high speed. Be careful of the missile cluster. Shang quickly reminded everyone. Come on, bastard. Exploding rock Palooza was really intolerable. His Son of the Earth mech is a heavy long-range output mech. Because the mech is very large, 5.6 meters high, he has been dodging just now, and it was very hard to hide. He is a D-level mech master with limited ability. Hiding to this extent is already his limit. Facing the missiles, he hovered the mech and stopped dodging. The 2 large triangular devices on the shoulders of the Son of the Earth mech opened, and under the armor plate was a honeycomb-like device. This is a cluster pulse energy cannon, which can release a large amount of energy pulses in a short period of time. The firing rate can be as high as 1000 rounds per second, and it can carry out a covering attack on the target in front of the mech. The maximum effective range is 150 kilometers, and it can be continuously fired for 15 seconds. Go to hell. Polisher shouted and pressed the launch button. Countless yellow energy pulse bombs in space shot towards the direction of the missiles like a meteor shower. Several other ghosts used long-range weapons to help Polisher clear the missiles that had escaped. In less than 5 seconds, all 54 anti-mech missiles released by the anti-mech cluster missiles were destroyed. But Polisher did not stop, but continued to aim the cluster pulse energy cannon at the group of flying wolf mechas in space. Because the light and smoke of the missile explosion blocked the line of sight, 6 flying wolf mechas were caught off guard and dived into the fire net woven by the cluster pulse energy cannon. Exploded in space. At this time, all the flying wolf mechas dodged while turning their guns, and 40 or 50 lasers attacked Polisher's mech. The Son of the Earth mech was immediately hit by several lasers, and the light energy shield on the mech flashed continuously, and it was already in danger. Second brother, stop shooting. Move away immediately. Don't be a target. Shang shouted anxiously. I won't hide. I don't want to be a coward. I won't tolerate these bastards anymore. Before Polisher finished speaking, 2 thick purple lasers shot at the Earth Sun mecha from 200 kilometers away. Because the cluster pulse energy cannon consumed a lot of energy for the mecha, and the mecha's light energy shield was on the verge of failure after being hit by dozens of lasers, and these 2 purple lasers were heavy and high power lasers. 2 seconds later, a huge explosion of flames engulfed the Earth Sun mecha and Polisher. Second brother. A feeling of grief filled the brothers and sisters. They looked up and found that the place where the laser came from was actually a humanoid mecha. The left and right hands of this mecha each had 2 double-mounted heavy mecha laser cannons. Its left-hand gun barrel was aimed at the direction of the Earth Sun mecha. However, the next moment, several people opened their eyes wide and their hearts and goals were broken. The right handgun barrel of that mecha was surprisingly aimed at the 6 brothers and sisters. No. 2 purple lasers split the dark space into 2 halves. At the end of the laser, the 6 brothers and sisters, which had accompanied the 6 brothers and sisters for more than 1,000 days and nights, and the more than 60 crew members on the ship, turned into fireworks in the space. Hatred, despair, all kinds of negative emotions surrounded the 5 survivors. They fought back with all their strength, but the remaining more than 40 flying wolf mechas had already flown in front of them, and were entangled with several people. Shang blamed himself very much. As the combat commander of several people, he had made a major mistake in this matter. Although he was very smart and experienced, he was self-taught after all, and had not received systematic and formal combat command training. The intelligence sent by Xia Xingchen and others included the parameters and structural diagrams of Colonel Mechas and the Ice Wolf mecha, but he did not pay enough attention to it. When he saw the wolf head of the humanoid mecha, he realized that this guy had just sneaked into the formation of the flying wolf to complete the sneak attack, and all this could have been avoided. The angry Shang dodged the laser volleys of the flying wolf mecha with a few maneuvers and headed straight for Mechas. I'll go and entangle that person, and you guys quickly break out. With the performance of your nuclear-powered mecha, you can fly to Gemini. Find a way to leave. If possible, go find that R-crossing and ask them to take you in. That person is not simple, and only he can protect you. Shang's mind still had a last bit of clarity at this time, and he began to plan for his brothers and sisters. Brother, I won't leave. Big brother, I want to be with you. Get out, all of you. We are a group of cursed people. It's a gift from God to be able to live until now, even if you don't want to live. What about my little sister? She's still young, just 15 years old. This is unfair to her. Shang's words silenced everyone. Little sister Alessa was the apple of their eyes, and they didn't want Alessa to die here. Take care, big brother. Brunswick was the first to make up his mind and rushed towards the group of flying wolf mechas. His Dreadlord mecha was equipped with a mental power amplification device, which could make the coverage of his fear aura reach 50 meters, which could seriously affect the enemy mecha divisions nearby. Elisa and the vampire Rusfen also joined the bombing group, harvesting the lives of the flying wolf mechas. The flame scorpion snake Nova gritted her teeth and said, "Third brother, fifth brother, I will leave my little sister to you. I'm going to help big brother." Inova turned the mecha around, stepped on the power pedal, and the fiery red mecha rushed towards the revenge wolf mecha. Chapter 416 Reinforcement arrive. The Gemini 6 ghosts were intercepted by Colonel Mechas of the Snow Demon Knights. In the fierce battle, the Earth-Sun mecha of exploding rock Palooza and the 6 brothers and sisters spaceship were destroyed by Mechas' revenge wolf mech. Shang risked his life to stop Mechas and let his brothers and sisters quickly protect his younger sister and leave. However, Yin overturned the mech and rushed towards Mechas and entangled Mechas with Shang. No one spoke, and no one questioned her choice. The brothers and sisters all knew that Unova had a special feeling for Shang, and there was a kind of love besides the brother-sister relationship. Although Shang lost his body, Unova still did not leave him. In order to get rid of other men's covetousness for her beauty, she deliberately pretended to be indifferent to other men, and even treated them very cruelly, just because she didn't want to be harassed by them. Her heart belonged to Shang alone, so she got the nickname of Flame Scorpion Snake. But obviously, the two of them were not the opponents of Colonel Mechas, a B-class mecha master. Mechas was treating them like a cat playing with a mouse. In his opinion, he was not willing to kill these two pretty good toys quickly before he had enough fun and completely destroyed his opponent's heart. At this time, in the space not far away, Count Dracula was heading towards the assembly airspace of the Snow Demon's transport spacecraft. Suddenly, a yellow alarm sounded in the cockpit. Xia Xingchen and others quickly came to the cockpit. A large-scale battle occurred at a distance of 10,000 meters at a distance of 65.32.41 ahead, with 2 spaceships and more than 50 mechas. The identification signals of 2 of the spaceships were the High 4th large mecha transport ship of the Snow Demon Knights and the 6 brothers and sisters spaceship of the Gemini 6 ghosts. Carlos quickly reported the situation. We intervene in the battle and attack the Snow Demon Knights with all our strength. Xia Xingchen gave the order. Issue a combat alert, and the mecha division is on standby in the mecha cabin. The system self-checks again. The Mirage system is fully turned on, and the engine power is turned on to 80%. At this time, the Mirage system is turned on, not to completely hide the tracks, but to reduce the distance at which the spacecraft is discovered. Bielsa planned to launch a surprise attack on the opponent, so as to achieve the greatest results at the lowest cost. All systems are normal, the weapon system begins to charge, and the plasma cannon begins to charge. Distance 5000, the 6 brothers and sisters was destroyed on the battlefield ahead, and the optical image is turned on. It is a Vengeance Wolf mech and dozens of flying wolf mechas. Adjust the course, and go around the back of the asteroid. Distance 1000, the weapon system is fully charged, the engine power is 75%, and the light shield is activated. Mechas are dispatched. Xia Xingchen, Vengeance Knight Mech, dispatch. Nina, Christie, Wings of Thor, dispatch. Miyamoto Kenichi, Cloud Swordsman Mech, Flight Responsible Platform, dispatch. Yuga Terami Warrior Mech, dispatch. Keela, Space Knight Mech, dispatch. Carlos, Ranger 1, Ranger 2, Ranger 3, Ranger 4 dispatch. Everyone listen to my command. Xia Xingchen took over the command. Carlos's Rangers and Keela's Space Knights protect the Count Dracula, and you go attack the Hive spaceship. Remember, you must maintain a safe distance of at least 500 kilometers from the enemy mecha. Nina, Miyamoto and you go deal with the Flying Wolf mecha. Remember to keep a distance from Nina, be careful not to get hurt by mistake. I'll deal with the Ice Wolf mecha. Xia Xingchen had been observing this mecha since the optical imaging system started working, and he was very excited because Freya died at the hands of this mecha. However, after observing for a while, he found that the combat method, driving habits and weapon equipment of this mecha were completely different from the one in the video. The Vengeance Wolf mecha driven by Andre when attacking Freya on Watchstar was the first generation of test aircraft. In the following 2 years, 5 more Vengeance Wolves were produced. The technology is becoming more and more mature, and the mecha has been continuously improved. So the appearance is very different from before. In order to take care of the combat habits of different mecha divisions, the weapon system of the Vengeance Wolf now adopts a large number of modular designs, which can be freely matched according to the choice of the mecha division. When Xia Xingchen and others mechas had just left the Count Dracula, the Hive spacecraft and main cov discovered them. At this time, the Count Dracula had turned off the Mirage system, and the thruster output power had reached 95%, rushing towards the Hive number 4 like an arrow from a string. Hive number 4, run. The Count Dracula was aggressive, and main cov believed that the ramming horn on its head was not for show. He knew that he would be in big trouble once the mothership was destroyed. But now he had no time to think about where the reinforcement came from, because there was a red light approaching him at high speed, and the fast moving red dot on the radar showed that they were not friendly. At this time, on the Count Dracula, Captain Bielsa was confidently commanding the battle. Such battles were as familiar to her as eating. Distance 800, enter the plasma cannon range, aim the plasma cannon, and lock the target. Engine output power reduced to 30%. Plasma cannon, fire. At this time, the Hive 4th, which had been scared to death, was just about to complete the turn. In the process, they also released 8 heavy space torpedoes at the Count Dracula. At this time, a thick golden plasma swept across the Hive 4th, and even the 8 torpedoes were detonated. No, you bastards. Main cov was furious. He was ready to fly towards Count Dracula. He wanted to hijack the spaceship. Although the Vengeance Wolf mech also used a nuclear engine, the technology of the Binxon No. 1 nuclear engine was still immature. He was very afraid that the engine would fail in space. It was an impossible task to rely on the performance of the mech itself to fly back. The Vengeance Wolf mech quickly adjusted its posture during flight, and the twin-mounted heavy laser cannons on its arms fired a salvo at Inova. This time he completely gave up his playful mentality. Inova dodged 3 lasers, and the 4th laser hit the cockpit of the mech. Inova looked at the photo of the 6 brothers and sisters hanging in the cockpit with nostalgia on her face, and flames engulfed her body. Ah. Shang felt his heart was stabbed at this moment. Although his body was a cold machine, he no longer had a heart. He drove the mecha towards Mainkov, wanting to die with him. Colonel Mainkov sneered, and the form of the Vengeance Wolf mecha changed. The two twin-mounted heavy laser cannons on the hands actually rose and moved backwards to the back of the mecha, and 3 more than 2-meter-long light claws extended from each of the 2 forearms of the Vengeance Wolf. The 2 mechas staggered past each other, and the light claws scratched the cockpit of Shang's 8-armed war god mecha, cutting his body into pieces, and the 8-armed war god mecha rushed towards the direction of Count Dracula. Chapter 417 The Power of Thundergod. The Count Dracula spaceship used plasma cannons to kill the Hive for large mecha transport ship, and then turned and ran away, which made Colonel Mainkov very angry. He began to take it seriously and solved Inova and Shang in 2 moves, and then flew towards the Count Dracula at high speed. However, a warning suddenly surged in his heart. Several orange-yellow lasers came at him head-on, aiming at his vital points and interweaving to form a firepower network that was difficult to dodge. He quickly rolled and dived, blocking with the mental shield on his forearm, and then resolved the attack. He then discovered that a red mecha was attacking him at high speed. This was the red dot that was moving at high speed on the radar just now. This mecha was too fast and had extremely strong firepower. The flowing fire mecha rifle, the 2 twin laser rapid fire cannons on the shoulders, and even the tip of the mecha's flying wings were all laser cannons. Facing an enemy like Colonel Mainkov, Xia Xingchen did not dare to neglect it. He fully opened his inside skills and used his mental clones to control different weapons to aim and shoot. In desperation, Colonel Mainkov could only retract the light claws on his forearms and use the lancet system on his forearms and the double-mounted heavy laser cannons on his shoulders to fight back. The 2 of them fought back and forth, and the situation was deadlocked. At this moment, in the space not far away, the Flying Wolf mecha had lost nearly 20 units, leaving 30 units, but Brunswick, Russell and Elisa's mechas were already scarred, and the performance of the mechas also dropped sharply. These Flying Wolf mechas were equipped with micro anti-mecha missile launch nests on their backs and legs. The micro anti-mecha missiles and dense lasers in the sky caused great damage to them. At this time, 3 white lights flew from a distance. Carlos had already invaded the communication system of the 6 ghost mechas, established a communication channel, and modified the enemy identification signal. "Get out of the way. Don't get hurt by mistake," Nina yelled. The 3 of them didn't care to think too much and instinctively followed the evacuation route that Nina had just transmitted to them. Nina quickly rushed into the group of Flying Wolf mechas. She became the target of public criticism, and dozens of lasers attacked the Thunder God Wing mecha. Nina turned on the electro-optical shield. Xia Xingchen and Carlos adjusted the electro-optical shield. The output power can now be adjusted intelligently, which saves dozens of times of energy and extends the use time of the electro-optical shield to more than 10 minutes. The mecha divisions of the Snow Demon Knights thought that the person who came was a fool who didn't know anything and actually got into the enemy's mecha group, which is a taboo in mecha combat. But all the attacks failed, making them realize that the situation was not as simple as they thought. Then something even more surprising happened. 6 balls were released from the white mecha. Each ball was 3 meters in diameter and nearly solid, and it quickly shot in all directions. In the space, the dazzling electric light balls emitted dazzling light like small suns. Nina used her mental power to lock onto the Flying Wolf mechas between and near the 6 light balls. 1 second later, the 6 huge light balls began to discharge. The huge current jumped happily on the dozen Flying Wolf mechas surrounded by the light balls, and the light balls became smaller little by little at a speed visible to the naked eye. After more than 10 seconds, all the mechas were paralyzed. All the electrical components inside them were burned. The batteries of the mechas were overloaded and ruptured, and the engines were burned without exception. The mecha masters inside the mechas were even worse. Some were electrocuted on the spot, and the rest were either in a coma or had become vegetative. The strong current caused irreversible damage to their brains and hearts. The mecha masters of the remaining dozen or so mechas had not yet recovered from the shock, and the white mechas with electric shields had already flown in front of them, and the mechas continuously released light balls with a diameter of 1 meter and several thick lightning bolts. All the mechas hit by lightning, and light balls had the same fate as their comrades. Yugo and Miyamoto Kenichi followed Nina more than 100 meters behind to finish off the immobile flying wolf mechas one by one. This was Xia Xingchen's order. They had too many secrets, and only the dead would not reveal the secrets. The Dreadlord Brunswick, the vampire Rusfin and the mischievous Elise looked at the three mechas in front of them stupidly and the mechas. In just less than 2 minutes, 30 mechas became wreckage, and the three mechas in front of them obviously did not use their full strength. Their mood was very complicated. On the one hand, they were glad that they had escaped death, and on the other hand, they were afraid and scared. If they really didn't know how to live or die and went to kill these people, it would be estimated that the end would be even worse. But soon, their eyes were attracted by another battle. Their mood became more complicated. This red mecha could actually fight evenly with the opponent who easily killed their eldest brother. Obviously, this is a more powerful opponent. Go and help big brother to avenge. Alessa shouted and was about to fly to main cove, but was stopped by the mecha using double swords. Don't go over there, you can't help but be a burden. Carlos had already connected their communication. Miyamoto Kenichi's tone was very stiff, but his words were very important. The three of them lowered their heads in shame. They had to admit that Miyamoto Kenichi was right. The battle between Xia Xingchen and Colonel Mainkov entered a white-hot stage. Xia Xingchen suppressed Mainkov with the powerful mobility and fierce firepower of the Revenge Knight mecha. Just when the battle was very intense, a communication request came from the communication channel. Xia Xingchen was curious and connected the request. "I'm Shang. I'm not dead yet." Xia Xingchen was shocked. He looked at the 8-armed war god mecha floating in space like garbage. At this time, it was floating there quietly like a crab facing up. "Sir, I'm still alive, but I don't have much time left, and it's too late to save me. But before I die, I can die with that main cove. As long as you can force him to within 10 meters of my mecha." Xia Xingchen's eyes lit up. Although he now has the advantage on the battlefield, he can't do anything to the opponent in a short period of time. As for close combat, it would be suicidal to fight a B-class mecha master whose background he doesn't know. "Shang, have you really thought about it?" "Yes, I have thought about it. Inova and Palooza, as well as the companions on the 6 brothers and sisters, can't die in vain. I want revenge. I'm not afraid of death. I have a request. If I die, I hope you can take good care of my brothers and sisters." "Okay, I promise you." In the communicator, Elisa and Brunswick burst into tears. Rusfin also wanted to cry, but vampires don't have tears. The winner will soon be revealed. Chapter 418, Farewell. Xia Xingchen suddenly accelerated the pace of the attack. Colonel Mainkov was a little flustered, but he soon stabilized the situation and smiled. Because he knew that Xia Xingchen's performance might be a last gasp, and his physical strength and energy had reached the limit. Although Xia Xingchen's mecha driving level was close to that of a Class B mecha master, it was still a little short. Don't underestimate this little bit. Some people can't cross this little distance in their lifetime. It's like a natural chasm. This distance is often the distance between life and death on the battlefield. But soon Mainkov couldn't laugh anymore. Xia Xingchen pressed a button and the Dragoon system started. The 8 floating guns on the back of the mecha suddenly flew up and fired 2 rounds of volleys at the Revenge Wolf mecha from all directions. Dragoon system. Everyone, including Keeley and Mainkov, was amazed. This was the first time that the Revenge Knight mecha showed its power after Xia Xingchen came to the Northern Empire. 6 flying wing type floating guns and 2 ordinary heavy floating guns still use the focused volley shooting method. 8 lasers are concentrated on one point. The huge power makes the strength of the spiritual shield on the forearm of the Vengeance Wolf instantly return to 0, which scares Colonel Mainkov to dodge desperately, waiting for the spiritual shield to slowly recover energy. In this exhausting dodge, he actually ignored the situation behind him. Slowly, he got closer and closer to the 8-armed war god mecha. When he found the mecha, his eyes lit up, and he actually accelerated to fly towards the 8-armed war god. His idea was to use the wreckage of the mecha to resist 2 attacks, so that he could wait for an opportunity to counterattack. After all, the energy of the floating gun of the Dragoon system is limited. Xia Xingchen was not polite, and fired 2 more volleys. The Liuho mecha rifle in his hand also increased the power. The Vengeance Wolf kept rolling in the air. Despite trying hard to dodge, the two double-mounted heavy laser guns on his shoulders were still hit and scrapped. Just as Colonel Mainkov made another difficult dodge with his mecha, suddenly, the 8-armed Air's mecha, which was floating like space junk, suddenly attacked. The 8 arms of the mecha tightly hugged the Vengeance Wolf from the back, and the thrusters behind it suddenly opened, and the nuclear-powered engine began to run crazily at overload. A huge tail flame spurted out from behind the mecha. The tail flame even melted the nozzle of the thruster, and the mecha quickly flew into the space above, flying dozens of kilometers in an instant. Mainkov fought desperately, but the mecha was tightly clamped by the opponent's arms, and suppressed by the powerful inertia, unable to move at all. He felt that his death was coming. Goodbye, Elisa, Rusfin, Brunswick, promise to take care of yourself. In over, Pelusa, wait for me, I'm coming. The Shangtang brainwave sensor gave the 8-armed Air's mecha the last order, self-destruct. The light from the nuclear fusion engine explosion illuminated the space, and the nuclear explosion caused the nuclear fusion engine of the Vengeance Wolf mecha to explode, and 2 bright suns appeared in the space. Xia Xingchen had already retracted the floating gun at this time, and faced the direction of the explosion, with the mental shield and light energy shield system fully turned on to resist the shock wave of the nuclear explosion. The huge energy during the nuclear explosion brought strong electromagnetic interference, and the sensors and communication systems of all mechas present were seriously affected. It was not until dozens of seconds later that the screen of the mecha returned to normal, and the communication also returned to normal with a rustling sound. Count Dracula slowly approached the battlefield from a distance, and fired 3 red flares, which was the instruction signal for returning home. Brunswick, Rusfin, Elisa, my condolences to you all. You should go to the Count Dracula to rest first. We are now going to clean up the remaining spaceships of the Snow Knights. Do you want to come with us? Yes, Mr. Axing, please take us to get revenge. Xia Xingchen nodded. Count Dracula, please open hatches 4 and 5, and turn on the anti-radiation equipment. Our mechas need to be deradiated. Carlos, we have 3 more mechas. Please give up the mecha warehouses 8 to 10, and the 3 rangers will stay in the warehouse for the time being. Okay, Xingchen. Carlos agreed, opened the landing hatch of the mecha, and sent a landing guidance signal to each mecha. The radiation cleaning device was turned on. Because mechas sometimes encounter nuclear explosions in battle, they must undergo radiation protection when returning to the interior of the spacecraft. After the mecha enters the radiation protection treatment device, a strong wind will blow violently at the mecha, blowing away the radioactive dust on the surface of the mecha, and releasing it into space. Next, a special solution with a surfactant will be used to further clean the surface of the mecha. Then it will be dried with strong winds. The last step is radiation monitoring. For places where radiation still exceeds the standard, robots will be sent to manually remove it until it meets the standard. It was half an hour later when the last mecha completed the radiation protection surface treatment. In the living room, Xia Xingchen saw the 3 brothers and sisters who were close to mental collapse, especially Elisa, who fainted from crying. The vampire Rusfin sat in the corner blankly, his eyes staring straight ahead. There was no sign of life on his body. Only Brunswick stood up with all his strength and greeted Xia Xingchen. Mr. Axing, thank you for rescuing us. We were wrong in the past, and I sincerely apologize to you. As he said that, he bowed deeply. Xia Xingchen quickly helped him up. We didn't know each other until we fought. I respect your eldest brother very much, and I promised him to take you in. But don't worry, I won't force you. The most important thing you need to do now is to have a good rest and adjust your mentality. The day after tomorrow, there may be a fierce battle. I think none of you want to miss such an opportunity for revenge. During this period of time, you should also think carefully about what path to take in the future. I will respect your choice. Thank you very much. There are plenty of empty rooms on the Count Dracula. Xia Xingchen arranged a separate room for Brunswick and Rusfin, because Rusfin is a vampire and likes darkness and quietness, and Elisa was given a room, and Nina moved in to take care of her. Xia Xingchen did not rest and took Tower and Carlos's robots to inspect all the mechas. The mechas on their Count Dracula were not damaged, but the 3 mechas of the 6 ghosts were seriously damaged. What should I do? Axing. There are no mecha design drawings. Tower scratched his head. This was a real nuclear powered mecha, and he had never touched it. What's more, without the drawings, he didn't even know how to dismantle it. I'll scan the drawings for you later. They may be used in the battle the day after tomorrow. Let me tell you how to deal with it. Xia Xingchen said confidently. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419 Growing Up Strong. Elisa was lying on the bed. She had a dream. In the dream, it seemed that she went back to 10 years ago. At that time, Elisa, who was 5 years old, had just started to remember things. She was a different child. She had a special ability. Once she had emotional fluctuations, her left hand would emit a very special ability. As long as her left hand touched something, whether it was a living thing, hard metal or ore, the molecular chain between the objects would be broken, so that the objects would fall into collapse. This made her arouse the interest of the research institute. So she was sent to the research institute to conduct various studies like a little white mouse. In order to make her use that ability, the people in the laboratory frightened her, beat her and even gave her electric shocks. Elisa was tortured to exhaustion every day. When she returned to her residence, her friends all avoided her. She once pushed her companions with her left hand because of fear, and saw them lying in front of her with blood and flesh. Such a thing was simply a nightmare for a 5-year-old girl, and she almost went crazy. Until one day, she was sent to a large room, where a big brother with bright black eyes was taking care of her. He told Elisa stories every day, teaching her to be brave and to try to adapt to his abilities. And there are many older brothers and sisters here. They also have various abilities, and they are all very good to Elisa, not afraid of her. They are all her family. A few years later, under the leadership of the older brother, they escaped from that terrible place and came to space. Here, she is the apple of their eye, and she is loved by everyone. The older brothers and sisters also took turns to teach her knowledge, martial arts, and mecha driving. If someone bullies her, the older brothers and sisters will stand up for her. Such sweet and happy days are gone so suddenly. The second brother, Pelusa, who usually loves to stand up for herself, died, and the sister Inova, who taught herself how to be a lady, also died. In the end, the older brother Shang, who loved herself the most and cared about herself the most, also died. Her world collapsed like this. Elisa cried, crying very sadly. Indistinctly, she felt someone holding her hand and stroking her hair. She opened her eyes and found a beautiful big sister with blonde hair and blue eyes. It was Nina. Elisa threw herself into Nina's arms and burst into tears. After a long time, she stopped crying. Are you Elisa? I'm Nina. Christy, you can call me Sister Nina if you like. Elisa wiped her tears and nodded. Sister Nina, is brother Shang dead? Elisa, if I say they went to another world, do you believe it? Sister Nina, I'm not a child. I don't believe it, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope that my eldest brother, second brother and fourth sister can be reunited in that world. Nina hugged her and stroked her hair. Elisa, whether that world exists or not, your eldest brother, second brother, and fourth sister all hope that you can continue to live peacefully and bravely. This is also the wish of your other 2 brothers. Don't they want to avenge their eldest brother? They can't bear to leave you. You are 15 years old now. Do you know what your brothers and sisters were doing when they were 15? Do you know what the brothers and sisters on our spaceship were doing when they were 15? Elisa blinked her big eyes and looked at Nina quietly, shaking her head. Let me tell you, when they were 15, they were already able to stand on their own and fight for their livelihood and destiny. You are lucky, you still have brothers and sisters to take care of you, but you will grow up one day, and your brothers and sisters will leave you one day. What you need most now is to be strong, learn to live independently, think independently, and fight alone, so that you can gain a foothold in this cruel universe. Only then will your brothers and sisters be truly relieved. Nina's words were something Elisa had never heard of. Her brothers and sisters loved her so much that they would never say such words to her, but these words really touched Elisa. She secretly made up her mind. I want to be strong, I want to be independent, and I want to grow up. The next morning, Xia Xingchen called Brunswick and the other three to the conference room. Xia Xingchen didn't want to ask Elisa to participate, but Nina insisted on asking her to participate. Her reason was that Elisa was already 15 years old, and she was already an adult. Brunswick and Ruthven also thought that what she said made sense. The three people who attended the meeting on the Count Dracula were Carlos, Xia Xingchen and Keelan. 3 of you, we will arrive at the designated location in 5 hours and encounter 3 large honeycomb class mecha transport ships of the Snow Demon Knights. The mechas on these 3 warships are all on the Gemini to carry out the mission of attacking the Xiumo family. They are tigers without claws. Our spaceships can't deal with them with a single salvo from the main guns, so there is no need for mecha combat. If you insist on driving the mechas into battle, the risk is very high. Xia Xingchen gestured, and Collis projected the structural diagrams of the 3 mechas on the big screen. These are the mechas of the 3 of you. Excuse me, your mechas are seriously damaged. The mental shields and light armor systems of these 3 mechas are all damaged, and the thrusters are damaged by 60%. There are still problems with the thrusters of 2 mechas. The most serious one is the Dreadlord mecha. The Dragon's second nuclear power engine it uses is simply too old. If it uses too much power, it may even explode during use. At first I wanted to repair it, but there were really no spare parts. I'm a senior mecha repairman. Based on my professional ethics, I suggest that your mechas can no longer fight. So now, you have to make a choice, whether to drive the mecha yourself to take revenge. The Count Dracula is about to arrive at the assembly point of the 3 surviving large honeycomb class mecha transport ships of the Snow Demon Knights. Xia Xingchen solemnly interviewed Brunswick, Ruthven and Elisa, telling them that their mechas are now scarred, and due to the lack of necessary accessories and materials, it is very dangerous to use them to participate in the battle. Chapter 420 My sister has grown up. However, Xia Xingchen still respected their choices, and gave the choice to the 3 siblings. Let me talk first. Elisa took the initiative to speak. The real culprits who killed my eldest brother and his friends are the core of In family and the Snow Demon Knights. I have no mutual understanding with them, so I decided to fight them to the end. The 3 spaceships in front of us have almost no combat capabilities. Even if we drive the mecha to kill them, it is just venting. Besides, such venting is meaningless and not worth taking the risk. We should live well, take revenge, and do more meaningful things. So I don't recommend that we brothers and sisters take the risk of sending out the mecha. We must live well, so that we can better avenge our eldest brother and his friends. Brunswick and Ruthven looked at the girl in front of them, as if they were looking at a monster, and almost lost the ability to think. Is this still the sister they watched grow up every day? What do you think, you two? Xia Xingchen asked. Oh, let's do it this way. Please, kill them for us. Brunswick finally came to his senses. I agree with third brother. Ruthven also agreed. Xia Xingchen nodded. Then we will prepare for the battle. You can come to the cockpit to watch the battle. The crew of Count Dracula began to prepare for the battle. Elisa returned to the room, while Brunswick and Ruthven secretly found Nina. Ms. Nina, we found that Elisa seemed to be different today. It was like she had become a different person. This is not our sister. We want to know what happened to her last night. It's okay. Nina smiled. Your little girl has grown up. It's that simple. Brunswick and Ruthven were stunned like statues. Yes, their sister has grown up and become sensible, and they both felt very relieved. Not long after, the battle alarm on Count Dracula sounded, and everyone came to the battle post. The 3 brothers and sisters came to the cockpit and sat in the seats behind Captain Bielsa. The front position is 68.63.41. The distance is 20,000, and the enemy ships are found. The number is 3. Carlos reported the situation. Although the maximum detection range of their spacecraft is only 12,000 kilometers, this is within the coverage of the Gemini local area network. In order to get in touch with the troops on Gemini, the 3 large mecha transport ships of the Snow Demon Knights are connected to the local area network. This exposed them, and Collis found their position through the signal positioning of the local area network. Maintain the original speed, and adjust the direction to 54.78.13. Distance 12,500. All Mirage systems are activated. Engine power 50%. Distance 10,000. All personnel are on level 1 combat readiness. Weapon system charging. Active search radar is turned off. Carlos, use Skynet signal to lock the target. Distance 5,000. Optical imaging system activated. Target confirmed. 3 large honeycomb class mecha transport ships. Wingwolf mecha. Number 6. Snow sculpture reconnaissance mecha. Number 4. Plasma cannon charging begins. Main gun starts charging. Distance 1000. Secondary guns 1 to 4 are unshielded. At this time, 2 turrets rose on the top and bottom of the hull of the Count Dracula. These were 4 large laser rapid fire cannons. Bielsa had considered it very carefully. Once the plasma cannon failed to completely wipe out the opponent, these secondary guns could also cooperate with the main gun to make up the loss. Distance 750. Mechas are ready to go. Enter the range of the plasma cannon. The plasma cannon locks the target. Output power 95%. Plasma scattering rate 80%. Fire. At this time, the shrill alarms on the 3 honeycomb class ships opposite sounded, and the unprepared crew members were in chaos. Damn, it's the fire control radar. We are locked. Where are the enemies coming from? There, I see. Before he finished speaking, a thick golden plasma slashed across the 3 spaceships like a laser scalpel. Because the 3 spaceships were too close, they were all smashed by the plasma cannon. The 3 Brunswick brothers and sisters were shocked. They had never seen such a powerful weapon, nor had they seen such an easy battle. In just 5 seconds, the 3 large spaceships on the opposite side were reduced to wreckage. Brunswick's eyes lit up, and he fell into deep thought. At this time, the hatch of the mecha opened, and Xia Xingchen's Revenge Knight mecha flew out of the hatch, and landed on the top of Count Dracula. The mechanical arm fixed the legs of the Revenge Knight mecha, and the flowing fire mecha rifle was set up. 6 mechas were affected by the plasma cannon shooting just now, and now there is not even a slag left. The surviving mecha pilots are still celebrating their survival. However, there is a saying that joy turns to sorrow. 4 thick orange-yellow lasers harvested their lives. Almost 4 shots were fired in a row, from more than 500 kilometers away. The 3 siblings were shocked again. Such a long distance is almost the limit of the laser rifle's range. A slight difference can lead to a huge error, not to mention that this is continuous shooting. Xia Xingchen's ability is far beyond their reach. This once again strengthened Brunswick's determination. Xia Xingchen returned to the cockpit of the Count Dracula, and Captain Bielsa asked him about his next plan of action. Xia Xingchen briefly touched his head with Keeley and Carlos, and made a decision. Captain Bielsa, Gemini has now become a veritable hell. The core of Infamily and even the Snow Demon Knights will send heavy troops and investigators to investigate. Our original route is likely to encounter the Northern Empire troops who come to investigate, and the risk is too great. So I suggest that we turn to the Sakhalin starfield and fly to Blohinsk, an important town in the northwest of the Sakhalin starfield. From there, fly to Siberia, and then from there to the core of Instar system. Okay, got it. Count Dracula sets off. Target, Blohinsk. Also, Carlos, prepare a forged driving record for me and upload it to the Northern Empire's local area network. By the way, let the evil mind adjust its course. It's done, Xingchen, don't worry. After Xia Xingchen inspected and maintained the mecha, he found that the Brunswick brothers and sisters were waiting for him in the conference room. Mr. Axing, I would like to discuss with you our future plans for the 3 of us brothers and sisters, Brunswick said. Chapter 421 The Choice of the 3 Siblings. Xia Xingchen carefully looked at the 3 siblings sitting opposite him, and there was a kind of determination in their eyes. Just now, when Xia Xingchen was repairing the Revenge Knight mecha in the mecha cabin, the 3 siblings had a discussion about their future path. The 3 of them were very frustrated to find that except for their good personal combat capabilities, they were simply useless in other aspects. They didn't even have the ability to drive a small spacecraft for space travel, not to mention revenge. In the past, the eldest brother did all these trivial things so that they could spend more time improving their combat effectiveness. Now that the eldest brother is gone, the three of them don't know what to do now. After a long time, Brunswick gritted his teeth and proposed a plan. Unexpectedly, this plan was unanimously supported by his younger brothers and sisters. "Mr. Axing, I want to know what your purpose is in coming to the Northern Empire," he said sincerely. Xia Xingchen used the insight skill to check and found that they had no ill intentions. "It's simple, revenge. Emperor Nicholas and the Snow Knights are all my enemies. Of course, the Korovin family, these lackeys of Emperor Nicholas are also our enemies. We are here to cause trouble. Assassination, sabotage, intelligence gathering, even if it means doing all kinds of evil. Are you from the Galactic Empire military?" Xia Xingchen did not refute. "The people on our ship are all Avengers who have a blood feud with the Northern Empire." The three siblings exchanged glances and nodded. Brunswick said, "Mr. Axing, are you willing to accept 3 new Avengers? We have a common enemy and an irreconcilable hatred. Moreover, we have enough ability to lend you a hand." Xia Xingchen was silent. This matter has its pros and cons. Although these 3 people have no ill intentions and subjectively have the desire for revenge, they are pirates after all, and are used to being casual, and it takes a long time to understand a person. He thought for a long time before speaking. "Emotionally speaking, I very much welcome your joining. You are all very strong, and will be a great help to us. But there are some ugly words I must say in advance. First of all, we are a team. We are operating in the territory of the Northern Empire. This is undoubtedly looking for a ray of hope in a dragon's den and a tiger's lair. Any negligence will bring disaster to everyone. Therefore, I require all members to obey orders and follow commands unconditionally. Even if you are asked to fire at your companions at a critical moment, you must obey unconditionally. Sacrifice individuals to protect everyone." The second point is that we are a whole, and the members are like family. We respect everyone's habits and choices. I don't want anything that affects unity to happen in the team. Once someone does such a thing, he must leave, and he may even be silenced. These 2 points are my requirements. If you can accept it, then I welcome you to join. If you can't accept it, you can leave. My small spaceship will be given to you." The 3 brothers and sisters were silent. They were all thinking about Xia Xingchen's words. After a long time, they looked up again and exchanged glances. "I accept these conditions and I want to join you." "I accept it too, and me too." Xia Xingchen stood up with a smile and hugged the 3 people one by one. "Welcome to the Count Dracula. In addition, let me introduce myself again. Axing is just my alias. My name is Xia Xingchen, a C-level mecha master, a senior mecha repairman. You can just call me Axing." "Axing, I have another request." Brunswick was a little embarrassed. "Please speak." "Over the years, my brothers and sisters have grown up under the shadow of our eldest brother. Apart from fighting, we don't know anything else. We feel like waste. I want to learn spaceship driving and command from Captain Bielsa. Rusfin wants to learn assassination techniques from Mr. Keeler, and my younger sister also needs to learn knowledge from Nina. We don't want her to only know how to fight and kill. Girls have a lot to learn, but we can't teach her." Xia Xingchen nodded. "There is no problem with Ale and Nina. They are very willing to take 2 good students. But there are some troubles with Captain Bielsa. He may not have patience, and he may be picky about students. How about this? I'll let Julian teach you first. Because you don't have any foundation. When you have laid a good foundation, mastered the basic knowledge, and demonstrated your ability, I will let teacher Bielsa teach you. What do you think? You are still more thoughtful." "Thank you, Xingchen. You see. May 2nd, 2020. This is a day recorded in the history of the Galactic Empire. Until after the war, there was no documented record of what happened on Hellstar that day. Just over 10 hours ago, the 3 Mecha squadron leaders of the Snow Demon Knights received an order said to be from Captain Mainkov. The gist of the order was that they were escaped by the Gemini 6 ghosts during their pursuit of the Gemini 6 ghosts. In order to pursue the 6 ghosts, Mainkov and the 4th Squadron could not get back in time to participate in the operation. Colonel Mainkov ordered his Snow Demon Knights to obey Dematia Korovin's command, and added a sentence at the end to preserve their strength and not let others be cannon fodder. This sentence is in line with Colonel Mainkov's character, so no one doubted it at all. In a huge command room underground in the core of Infamily Manor, there was a lot of noise at this time. Below is the core of Infamily's central control optical computer, and the command center above is the combat command center for this battle. A large monitoring room in the command center was already full of people. An entire wall in the monitoring room was made up of a giant monitor and hundreds of small monitors. Dozens of combat staff were sitting in front of the screen. On a rostrum behind them, Major General Mattia Korovin and Major General Amori sat in the center. Next to them sat Joe, the second in command of the Korovin family, Chen Ziguin, the patriarch of the Chen family, Old Omaha, the patriarch of the Omaha family, and Takeda Jiufu, the patriarch of the Tequila family. Mattia was cunning, and he brought together several forces involved in the operation, nominally for the convenience of command. It seemed that letting the heads of several families sit here was also giving them face, but in fact, this was a disguised form of house arrest, which could effectively prevent leaks and tricks from them. It was now 4:50 am, Gemini time, and the sky was just getting light. Mattia stood up. Everyone, Colonel Mainkov helped us to cut off the cancer of the Gemini 6 ghosts, but he is now stuck, and can't get back in time. The 3 mecha squadrons of the Snow Demon Knights are under my direct command. Just now, the frontline command sent a message that all our troops have entered the command position. I declare that at 5 o'clock, the combat operation will officially begin. Our operation to wipe out the evil Zumo family is codenamed Gemini Storm. The timer entered the countdown. When the time entered 5 o'clock, more than 4,000 mechas and more than 1 million ground troops swarmed towards the territory of the Zumo family like locusts covering the sky. Since the local area network and air defense system of the entire Gemini are in the hands of the local security forces, the air defense system did not issue any alarm. Chapter 422. The beginning of the storm. The twin storm operation led by the Korovin family officially began. The main attack directions of the newly formed coalition of the 4 major families are 4 in total. The first target is the manor of the Zumo family on the Heaven Star. A squadron of the Snow Demon Knights brought 1,000 mechas to attack here. The purpose of the operation is to directly attack the command center of the Zumo family. Once Zumo and Xiu Yan and Xiu die, the Zumo family will inevitably be leaderless. The second target is the slave training ground and death training camp of the Zumo family on the Hellstar. This is where the Zumo family's military force is most concentrated. Mattia's platoon sent out 2,000 mechas and 100 mechas from the remaining 2 squadrons of the Snow Demon Knights. The third target is the war slave trading market of the Zumo family on the Heaven Star. There are also many defensive forces here, and they also sent out 1,000 mechas. The fourth target is the Golden City Hotel. The attack here is mainly infantry. This is a cash cow, and the Korovin family does not want it to be destroyed by mechas. Once it is damaged, the loss will be great. Now on the big screen of the command center is a satellite video, and the center of the picture is the cabin, where the Zumo family lives. In the camera, Zumo is practicing martial arts with Zuan and Zuiu. The first to arrive here were hundreds of ground-to-ground missiles. Soon, the cabin became a sea of fire. Everyone in the command center jumped up excitedly and celebrated. The first wave of missile strikes was mainly aimed at the command center, radar, air defense system, barracks and mecha warehouses of the Zumo family, which are strategic targets with military value. The specific operations were almost all made by Major General Amori. In order to perform well in front of Mattia, he almost used all his skills. Seeing the various bases of the Zumo family on the screen covered by flames, everyone was relieved. There were 3 rounds of missile strikes, all of which were saturation strikes. Saturation strike is a tactic developed by Marshal Gorshkov, the former commander-in-chief of the Soviet Navy, during the period of the US-Soviet hegemony, when he was studying the use of anti-ship missiles to attack the US Navy's aircraft carrier battle group. That is, using surface ships, submarines and combat aircraft to carry anti-ship missiles, and adopting a high-density, continuous attack penetration method. At the same time, in a short period of time, missiles that exceed the anti-strike capability are launched from different directions and levels in the air, on the surface and underwater to the same target, so that the anti-missile resistance capability of the enemy's aircraft carrier formation's maritime air defense system is in an unbearable saturation state in a short period of time, so as to achieve the purpose of increasing the probability of anti-ship missile penetration and destroying the target. The first wave of missiles focuses on attacking the missile cruisers and destroyer leaders that perform regional air defense in the aircraft carrier formation, making them lose the ability to perform regional air defense with ship-to-air missiles. The second wave of missiles focuses on attacking aircraft carriers and amphibious assault ships, striving to make them lose their combat capability or sink them. The use of the saturation attack tactic can greatly improve the combat efficiency of the originally relatively backward weapon system. However, the use of the saturation attack tactic requires sufficient firepower delivery platforms, sufficient weapons and ammunition bases, and more importantly, a set of collaborative command mechanisms and systems between multiple weapon systems, even including the ability to coordinate and command multiple services. Therefore, both the economic and technical aspects of this tactic are beyond the reach of ordinary national armies. Only a few military and economic powers in the world have the ability to conduct multiple actual saturation attacks. However, this method of warfare was later widely used by humans, especially by the powerful and proactive offensive party. Most opponents lost their ability to resist under the first wave of saturation attacks. The greatest results can be achieved at the lowest cost. This tactic remained enduring until the space age. At the same time as the missile strike ended, the second batch of attack forces arrived. At this time, nearly 3,000 Jarrow-May-type mechas and thousands of fighter jets flew over the target, clearing the target again. This is because Dematia is very suspicious. A few minutes later, no moving objects or creatures could be seen on the ground in several bases of the Xumo family. At this time, on the main route from the Korovin system to Gemini, a fleet consisting of 10 heavy cruisers and 80 medium-sized mecha cruisers was heading to Gemini. In the command center of the fleet's flagship, Xumo, Xuan and Xuyu were watching the video on the big screen. Carlos had hacked the central optical computer of Gemini, so Xumo and the others could see the images that Dematia and the others could see. Moreover, much of what Dematia and the others saw was forged information, while what Xumo saw was real data. Looking at the picture in front of him, Xumo sneered. Humph, saturation attack. Very good, very good. Ayan, send a signal to the Gemini Space Force. Ayo, start the counterattack in 5 minutes. Yes, Grandpa. The Gemini space station only has 8 large spaceships, of which only 2 are old-fashioned space cruisers with certain combat capabilities, and the rest are transport ships. There are only a pitiful 50 medium-sized warships, all of which are old-fashioned ship types. More than half of the ships are over 90 years old. Now these warships are scattered throughout the Gemini galaxy. The most important thing is that the mechas on these spacecraft are now on Gemini to carry out military operations against the Xumo family. They are now like lambs without claws. In the command center of the Gemini space station, many green dots suddenly appeared on the radar, attracting the attention of the officer on duty. Then, the other party discovered the communication request. Gemini Space Station, Gemini Space Station. This is the 3rd fleet of the 4th fleet of the Northern Fleet. We are passing by here and are going to the border to perform special tasks. We need to resupply here. Please stay where you are. We need to ask our commander, General Amori. Fuck you. Our superiors don't speak well. The security fleet must unconditionally obey the orders of the regular fleet. Isn't this law useful? Do you treat His Majesty Nicholas's orders as wind around your ears? Once His Majesty Nicholas's affairs are delayed, who will be responsible? The commander of the opposite fleet was very arrogant. Helplessly, the officer on duty directly contacted Major General Amori in the Korovin Family Operations Command on Heaven Star. Major General Amori and Dematia. Korovin was very surprised. Master Dematia, I didn't inform the 4th fleet. They came here without saying hello in advance. Is it a trick? Or did you invite the 4th fleet? Humph, maybe someone leaked the news. Those termites want to get a piece of the pie. Let's ignore them and hurry up to attack. When they finish landing, the battle will be over. They can't get a penny. Matia's face was as gloomy as water. He didn't think there would be a trick here. After all, the fleet's identification code is difficult to make mistakes. Listen to my orders. All units stop long-range attacks, and the mecha units and infantry will launch a general attack. Be sure to occupy the territory of the Zumo family as quickly as possible. Amory said to the duty personnel in the communication. Call all fleets back to the Gemini space station and occupy all the berths on the dock of the space station. If the people of the 4th Fleet want to dock, they should slowly get out of the way and delay time, even if it means creating a space traffic accident. In short, delay until the entire operation is over. Major General Amory was standing in line. Generally speaking, the position of a local fleet commander is the end of his career. If he wants to be promoted, he must find a way to be appreciated and join the main force. But now, he has finally hooked up with the DiMattia family. With their support and care, his career will definitely be brighter. Chapter 423 The Zumo Family's Gift. At this moment, in the command room on the Zumo family's flagship, Mr. Zumo put down the teacup in his hand. Let's welcome the guests. At this time, the coalition's mecha troops and infantry had entered the Zumo family's territory one after another without any resistance. At this time, the alarms of various bases sounded loudly, and then DiMattia and his men saw a shocking scene. A Direwolf mecha came to the ruins of several destroyed warehouses and found that the bottom of the building was empty. Their saturation attack seemed to have only hit some camouflage. Then, countless hidden missile launchers suddenly appeared on the mountains near these bases. Tens of thousands of powerful ground-to-ground missiles and anti-mecha missiles attacked the base. Some mechas that had just entered the base turned around and ran away. At this time, the anti-mecha mines nearly 200 meters wide near the base were suddenly remotely opened. Those troops who tried to escape through the ground exploded violently. Soon, the anti-mech missiles flying in the air also arrived, exploding in mid-air one after another, or directly slapping the opponent's mechas to the ground like slapping flies. Most of the mechas in the air were fighters and very fragile Jaromei type mechas, and these missiles were extremely lethal to such mechas. The mechas surrounded by anti-mech mines suffered even more serious losses. Most of these mines were jumping mines, which could fly more than 5 meters high in the air and explode. Dozens of jumping mines exploded in mid-air, and even gods could not save them. Looking at the scene in front of them that looked like hell, the people in the core of In-Family Command Center were stunned. Impossible, impossible, I must be dreaming. Old Omaha almost had a heart attack. Report to the commander, our attacking forces have been attacked by anti-mech missiles and a large number of missiles. According to statistics, several of our troops have lost 80%. It's over, it's all over. DiMattia Korovin's brain suddenly burst. This time, the loss is huge. The wealth of the Zumo family has not yet been obtained, but the power of his own family and allies has suffered heavy losses. It is still unknown how much wealth can be obtained, and whether it is enough to make up for this loss. At this time, the scene changed again. Those places of the Zumo family that were not attacked by missiles, such as flower beds, lawns, squares, etc., the ground suddenly opened, and countless automatic combat robots, fortress cannons and mechas came out from them. Most of these are automatic weapons, and the mecha divisions in a few mechas are the death squads raised by the Zumo family. The coalition forces, which had been beaten and confused, suffered another heavy blow. A group of rabble originally thought that they would win a crushing victory, but they were beaten like this, and were a little overwhelmed. Sir, please give orders, and you must stay calm now. Amori is a soldier after all, and he has been on the battlefield. Moreover, his losses this time are not particularly great, because no matter how much his troops lose, the Korovin family will pay for it. He was the first to recover from the shock. Now we have no way out. Send all the troops up, and launch a saturation attack. No one from the Zumo family will be spared. In addition, send more troops to the Zumo manor, and kill that old bastard Zumo and his family. Kill him alive or dead. DiMattia was now overwhelmed. He did not consider why the Zumo family was preparing to ambush them again. This was also because he was not a soldier. Even though he was very smart, he had not received professional training, and it was difficult for him to remain calm after such a blow. In space, Xiumo, Xiuan and Xiuyu, the three of them, looked even more brilliant. At this time, Xiuan reported, "Grandpa, Major General Amori of the Gemini Security Force sent a telegram to the entire army, asking all space forces to withdraw to the Gemini space station in an attempt to occupy all berths and delay our landing and supply time." Haha, the summary really wins my heart. I'm still struggling. Their troops are too scattered. If we send people to defeat them one by one, it will waste too much time and affect our evacuation. And I'm unwilling to let go of the warships near other satellites. Now is the best time to catch them all. Wait until their spaceships arrive before we take action. Yes, Grandpa. Xia Yan agreed. He is the combat commander of the fleet, so he issued an order to the Xiumo fleet. Everyone enters the first level of combat readiness, weapon system charging, but the fire control radar is on standby. Don't turn it on. All mecha divisions are on standby. Thousands of kilometers away, the staff of the Gemini space station were anxious. How far is the 4th fleet? What? 8,000 kilometers? How long will it take for all our troops to come back? What? The Gemini 9 and 10 spaceships will take 8 hours. Tell them all to die and bring their heads to see General Amori. Hurry up and find some civilian spaceships to occupy the dock first and say that the military has requisitioned them. The command center of the Gemini space station was also in chaos. Report to the commander. They are already 500 kilometers away from here. They sent a signal to ask civilian spacecraft to get out of the way and asked us to get out of the dock immediately. They also said that if we delay their combat mission, we will be in trouble. Damn it, tell them we are coordinating. Delay a little longer. I will ask General Amori immediately. Report. The Skynet system is interfered with. There may be a violent explosion on the ground that affected the communication. We can't contact General Amori. Distance 400. Hey, these guys dare to put up a battle formation. Who are they trying to scare? At this time, the alarm sounded in the command center. It's the fire control radar. We have been targeted. High energy response ahead. Then, the sky was full of lasers aimed at all the warships of the Gemini Security Force, and those civilian spacecraft that did not get out of the way in time were also affected. Rebellion. Rebellion. How dare the 4th Fleet fire at its own people? Who gave them the courage? Charge the defensive weapons and fight back. Contact the general quickly, and contact Siberia. Until now, the commander on duty did not know that the so-called 4th Fleet and 3rd Fleet were actually fakes. The ships of the Xiumo family's fleet are relatively new. On the one hand, it is difficult for the Northern Empire to see civilian armed forces of such a scale except for the regular army. On the other hand, no local security forces of such strength, so they can only be the main fleet. Although the models of the Xiumo family's spaceships are different, the colors are all uniformly painted, which is also the practice of the regular army of the Northern Empire. Chapter 424 Cyclops. The weapon system of the Gemini space station was charging, but the commander who issued the order did not know. Neither General Amori nor the Northern Empire Military Department of Siberia received any news. The central optical computer, local area network and communication network of the entire Gemini were firmly controlled by Carlos, and the news was strictly blocked. It was too easy for an advanced artificial intelligence to do these things. The weapon system of the space station was desperately charging. After dozens of seconds, the charging was completed, but at this time there were not many ships left in the Gemini security force. Fire. Fuck him. The officer on duty cursed and saw the fortress cannons and laser cannons outside the space station open fire, aiming at the surviving warships and all civilian ships parked in and outside the port. The commander opened his mouth wide and wished he could dig his eyes out. He couldn't accept it at all and didn't believe that everything he saw was real. Report. Our fleet is completely destroyed. The close-in defense weapons are out of control. The duty commander took out his pistol and pointed it at his head. Bang. Looking at all this, Xiumo felt as comfortable as eating iced watermelon at noon in the dog days of summer. A group of ambitious people who coveted his property and attempted to kill him for money lost everything this time. At this time, a dialogue box appeared on the big screen. Old man Xiumo, stop while you are ahead. I have to take care of my affairs. Then another star map was sent, with an evacuation route marked on it. Carlos had already scanned this route with Skynet, and there were no reconnaissance satellites, and no spacecraft around. Xiumo nodded. Yes, this guy is right. We can't let victory get to our heads. Evacuate immediately. Also, help the people below to cover the coffin lid. On Gemini, the surviving troops attacked the Xiumo family base like crazy. The missile bases that appeared later were also destroyed one by one. The infantry also rushed into the Xiumo family base, captured the survivors and killed them. In the command center of the Korovin family, the combat staff was introducing the situation on the battlefield to everyone. Report to the commander. Now all the territories of the Korovin family have been occupied, especially the Golden City Hotel, which is basically not damaged. We sent more than 100,000 troops to capture the survivors of the Xiumo family room by room. However, the bodies of Xiumo's grandfather and grandson were not found in the Xiumo manor. Is it strange? Our insiders and satellites clearly saw him doing morning boxing exercises in the yard. How could he escape under such a missile attack? The mecha couldn't withstand such an attack. General Amori was very puzzled. Suddenly, a shocking scene appeared on every screen. In the manor of the Xiumo family, in the death training camp of the Xiumo family on the Hellstar, and in the war slave trading market of the Xiumo family on the Heaven Star, the entire ground was cracked, and huge energy poured out from the ground, rushing straight into the sky, and even rushed out of the atmosphere. Some spaceships in space were even affected. Everyone who was swept by the energy wave burst into water vapor, and all mechanical and electronic products and engines exploded violently, and even steel was melted. 1. Cyclops system. General Amori squeezed out a few words from his mouth in pain. The Cyclops system is a weapon designed with microwave enhancement as the concept. It includes some large disc-shaped launchers. When activated, it will release a large amount of microwaves and quickly heat objects within the microwave range to extremely high temperatures. The microwave beam can directly penetrate the object, causing the internal resonance of the object to produce extremely high temperatures, thereby achieving the damage effect. The Cyclops system is a weapon of mass destruction. It is a huge array composed of multiple disc-shaped microwave emitters. Once activated, it will use microwaves to instantly heat the mechas within the range, as well as the ammunition and propellants of other weapons, water that accounts for 60% of the human body weight, etc. In the end, the strong radiation heat will even destroy the buildings and arrays themselves. Due to the absorption of radio waves by Njama, the destruction is limited to a certain range, and it is an environmentally friendly tactical weapon. It was originally used to develop new planets, melt underground ice, or melt asteroids that threatened air combat stations. Later, when the Republic of America was destroyed during the Galactic Warring States period, their president set up the Cyclops system under the presidential palace, and perished with the nearly 1 million invading troops. So the Cyclops system became a weapon for the guards to perish together in the war. Later, due to the collapse of the galaxy system, this weapon was against the harmony of heaven, so it has not been used for more than 200 years. Who knew that today, this weapon was actually used on them? The power of the Cyclops is really brutal. It ran for 2 minutes, and then melted the system itself, causing a violent explosion. The people in the room were completely dumbfounded, because they knew very well that, after being swept by the Cyclops system, they would not be able to find even a complete screw. In this operation, the 4 new families, including the Korovin family, did not get a penny of profit, but lost more than 80% of their armed forces. It can be said that they lost their underwear. Looking at the 3 violently erupting energy columns on the Heaven Star and the Hell Star, the base of the Xiumo family swept by the Cyclops system, all the troops were wiped out, all the buildings, facilities, and weapons were destroyed, and not even a screw was left. People who were swept by microwave energy boiled from the inside of their bodies, and then exploded violently into meat paste, and then the meat paste exploded again and evaporated completely. Matia. Korovin slumped in his chair with a pale face, his face as pale as a vampire. General Amori next to him, who originally had an expensive cigar from Earth in his mouth, now opened his mouth in shock, and the cigar fell on his clothes, and burned a big hole in his clothes without knowing it. Chen Ziguan was almost out of breath, trembling as he touched the asthma medication on his body, and old Omaha had fainted from a heart attack. Only Takeda Gyufu was watching the screen with relish, chanting death hoop in his mouth, and a new idea of torturing slaves came into his mind. In this regard, the Tequila family are all perverts, with excellent psychological quality, and any disgusting thing is enjoyment for them. This Takeda Gyufu is as perverted as his father Takeda Yushin, which is also the nature of the Japanese. Chapter 425 The Collapse of the Golden City. On the other hand, since the Tequila family suffered heavy losses in the internal struggle, they only sent less than 200 mechas, and the loss was very small. Moreover, in this way, the strength of several other families was greatly damaged, and the Tequila family did not have to worry about them taking advantage of the fire. Suddenly, Matia's pupils shrank sharply, and Amori's heart was also tightened. On the largest display in the center, they saw the Golden City Hotel on the Heaven Star. On the foundation of the hotel, a flash of fire flashed, followed by a huge shockwave, surging from the bottom to the top along the Golden City Hotel. The gold foil and all the glass on the outside of the hotel was shattered and lifted up, dancing like butterflies under the sunlight. The Golden City Hotel seemed to have encountered a magnitude 9 earthquake within a range of more than 10 kilometers. The ground shook violently. Although it only lasted for 3 or 4 seconds, countless people were still turned to the ground. Tens of thousands of maglev cars had traffic accidents. On the ground of the Heaven Star, 2 passers-by were shaken to the ground. It took a long time before they came to their senses. "John, are you okay?" one of them asked with concern. "I'm fine, Sam. The geological structure of Paradise is very stable. There has never been such a big earthquake. This earthquake is probably 9 magnitude. Look, the Golden City Hotel is going to collapse." The one named Sam pointed at the tall building in the distance and shouted. "Haha, Sam, you coward, how is this possible? It's the clouds moving, giving you an illusion." John laughed. There have been many cases in human society where strong winds have blown clouds to move at high speeds, and when they intersect with stationary buildings, it looks like a skyscraper has collapsed to people on the ground. This is a visual illusion caused by relative motion. There have been countless panics caused by this visual illusion in history. However, after a few seconds, this ridicule turned into endless fear, because John finally discovered that today was a sunny day, and there were no clouds in the sky at all. But what was going on with this building that seemed to be falling in their direction? The Golden City Hotel, a huge skyscraper with a super strong alloy frame structure of more than 2,000 meters, collapsed. Although the building was made of very strong materials, it was too heavy. Such a heavy weight smashed to the ground under the action of gravity, and the result was only one thing: crushed to pieces. At this time, there were more than 100,000 staff members in the Golden City Hotel, nearly 100,000 guests who were still in shock, and more than 100,000 soldiers who came in to capture the remnants of the Zyumo family. The hotel was also surrounded by a large number of mechas and soldiers. With the collapse of the Golden City Hotel, plus the crowd outside the hotel and the affected buildings, the number of people who died in this accident was conservatively estimated to be more than 600,000, and the number of injured was countless. What's more sad is that Heaven Star has no power and manpower to rescue now. The armed forces of the major families have been invested in the siege of the Zyumo family, and they were almost wiped out under the final Dragoon system. Matia. Korovin spurted a mouthful of blood on the screen. The Golden City Hotel was his greatest hope, and now it's all over. More importantly, the entire hotel is home to most of the slave traders who often travel to Gemini for slave trade, as well as the wealthy people in the nearby starfields and even the children of some dignitaries in the Northern Empire. This time they all died in the Golden City Hotel, and the Korovin family will be held responsible for the loss. They may even ask the Korovin family to compensate for the loss. Their request is also reasonable. If you live in your hotel, you must ensure the safety of the guests. As the new owner of the entire Golden City Hotel, the Korovin family must compensate. What? Nicholas and the Zyumo family are also shareholders? In the Northern Empire, who dares to ask Nicholas for money? Now they go there to find the Zyumo family. The most important thing is that their actions this time have almost destroyed the entire slave trade in Gemini. Not to mention handing over 6 trillion star coins to Nicholas a month. It is now difficult to come up with 1 trillion star coins. Major General Amori was completely dumbfounded. In this failed battle, 80% of his soldiers and mecha troops were lost. Now, he had no idea whether the core of In family could afford such compensation. Moreover, in any army, such a loss rate would be brought to the military court. This time, the Gemini security force participated in the operation against the Xiaomo family. Without the order of the General Staff of the Northern Empire, it was illegal in principle. But with the core of In family coming forward, the higher-ups turned a blind eye. But such a big mess could not be covered up. Looking at Chen Ziguan again, he had fainted, and his face was flushed. Old Omaha had already been lying on the ground, foaming at the mouth. Takeda Jiufu was watching the two people dying with interest. To say that they were perverted was to say that they were perverted. This mental quality was really not comparable to that of ordinary people. Xiaomo watched everything on the big screen and smiled with satisfaction. The Xiaomo fleet left without hesitation. The foreshadowing of the Golden City Hotel was planted about 20 years ago. The Xiaomo family suffered a great loss in the construction of the Golden City Hotel. They paid the most money, but only a small part of the profit. When the Golden City Hotel was built, the design and structural construction of the entire building were completed by the Xiaomo family. At that time, in order to prevent the Chen family and the core of In family from breaking their promises, he tampered with the building. 20 years ago, when the Golden City Hotel was built, Xiaomo laid a foreshadowing during the construction of the hotel, in order to prevent the two ambitious partners from breaking their promises. There are 6 floors in the underground building of the Golden City Hotel, but the available space from the structural diagram is 5 floors underground. The lowest underground floor is the shock absorber of the Golden City Hotel. For buildings like skyscrapers, shaking is inevitable in windy weather or earthquakes. Although this shaking may be very slight, for skyscrapers that are hundreds or even thousands of meters high and have huge self-weight, this shaking is simply fatal. When these shakes occur, huge forces will be concentrated on the supporting structures at the bottom of the building, especially on windy days. The building is likely to move back and forth like a pendulum. This is not just a simple matter of weight being pressed on it, but will also produce resonance, which is a serious damage to the supporting structures of the building, and can easily cause the building to collapse. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.